Happy Monday morning, Delaware Valley and beyond. Paul George is a Philadelphia 76er. Yes, he is. It happened in the middle of the night early this morning. I woke up around 4:35, rolled over. I said, let me check my phone. Sure enough, boom, there it was. So that's going to be all the talk today. We'll sprinkle in talking about the best team in baseball also, as we have the wonderful, our ray of sunshine, Amy Fadulin with us.
Happy to be here.
Happy that you're here. Ray Dunn is stopping by.
Just stopping by.
Just passing by. Yeah, Ray, good to have you back. I hope you had a wonderful vacation.
It was great.
It was so good. You should probably
week.
go on another one, I'm thinking.
Fine, I will.
Okay.
Beg me to.
Okay, so we have Ray for a couple hours or whatever, and then he departs again. But wonderful weekend in the sports world. We're going to go all through it. Look, the initial reaction is what it is. Sixers had to do something. They had to get a big name. This was one of the ones that was targeted, maybe the top one that was targeted by a lot of you out there. I'm okay. I'm good. I'm good with it. Very good with it. But this is just my personality of, okay, that's done. Now my head turns. There's still a lot more this team needs to do. But we'll react to Paul George signing here, all the other signings that they did do, and get your reaction to it. Because I have a theme that I'm going to put out there to you, and I'd love to hear you answer it when we do. But before we get to all that, you got to look at the big stuff first.
Now, the front page. The stories everyone's talking about. 97.5, The Fanatic.
Well, the big stuff is, as we said, Paul George is a Philadelphia 76er. 4 years, $212 million the 34-year-old signs for. He averaged 22.6 points last year, played in 74 games. Significant with his injury history. Shot 41.3% from three, averaged 34 minutes a game. If you didn't watch a lot of Paul George this year, and it's hard when the Clippers are out west unless you're staying up late on certain days or catching some of their weekend, maybe national games, go take a look at it. A lot of people are labeling 34 years old. Paul George still has plenty in the tank. Paul George still looks good. As I said in the crossover, he is the anti-Tobias Harris, where he wants the ball. Late shot clock, late game. You know, he was on a floor with a Kawhi Leonard and a James Harden this year. And if you watch on late shot clocks, late games, he wasn't giving it up. He's working to get the shot himself. So that's exactly what 76ers fans have been looking for. The team also signs Kelly Oubre to a 2-year, $16.3 million contract. Aim, we were almost spot on with that.
I know.
Right? We said between 8 and 10, didn't we?
We did. I think because I think I gave you like a 3-year 24.
Yeah.
So 2 years 16.
Yep. Works out perfectly. I'm glad they got him. He averaged 15.5 points last year in 30 minutes. I love that signing. I want him to be used in the right way, and it's something that we're going to talk about a little bit later, and I don't know if Amy will agree with me or not. They also signed Andre Drummond to a 2-year, $10 million contract. Probably the best backup center there. Now, Hartenstein just signed a couple of minutes ago. It was announced he just signed with Oklahoma City. That was another name we mentioned for a backup center, Aim. He went out to Oklahoma City. I love the Andre Drummond signing. I do. You're not only looking for somebody that can do those 12, 15 minutes a game, you're also going to be looking for a guy that can be a legitimate starter at center for the games that Joel Embiid misses. I don't think he's a 60-game starter, Andre Drummond, but if you throw him in there to start when needed, I think he'll be just fine. Here's a great number for you on Andre Drummond. The old per 36. You love the per 36. I love the per 36. 18.9 rebounds per 36. The guy is a rebounding machine. And here's your roster so far. I just wrote it down real quick. It might not be exact, but Embiid, Maxey, Paul George, Oubre, Drummond, Ricky Council, Jeff Doughton. Now, B-Ball Paul, I guess they're going to buy out. I'm still reading on to that.
I don't think they can afford him.
Yeah, I don't think so either. So he's out. And then you have McCain, Bona, and Eric Gordon, who they got for the veteran minimum. Because for people that can see me on YouTube, it's like that blankie that you have to, I got to go get another Houston Rocket guy, somebody I'm familiar with. So Daryl Morey goes and gets Eric Gordon at 35 years old. I heard the morning show talking about him, like 37% from three. That's league average. That's not like great. He was a great shooter. Maybe you can find something there. I guess that means Buddy Hield no longer is going to be with the team. They're not going to bring him back. We will talk to Keith Pompey at 1 o'clock as we'll get all the ins and outs of, the CBA and what they can do, what they can't do, what they can afford, and all of that, and what they may be thinking. Earlier, after we were in this morning and before we got in, it was breaking news. Tyrese Maxey has signed a 5-year, $204 million rookie contract, which is awesome. Rookie extension, I should say. So Maxey, he's done. You had to do the big other things first, then you do Maxey. Great. In NBA news, the salary cap for this year will be $140.6 million, with the luxury tax going at $170.8 million. So lots and lots and lots of Sixers talk today. Also in this city, it's pretty cool. You still have the best team in baseball. And they maybe AIM got their best win of the season yesterday in the fashion that they did it.
Huge comeback.
Exactly. And because of what they're dealing with. So it's weird. I was thinking of this. In this 4-game series against Miami, I think they had their worst loss of the season and their best win of the season. That's a worst loss on Thursday because
a bad one.
They were up last 3 1/3 innings. They give up like 6 runs or whatever, 2 injuries, all of that. Now, the injuries, we didn't get a chance to talk about, I don't think, because Rob Thompson talked on Friday after we were out. Good. Sounds good.
It seems
very
positive,
mild, both
right?
of them. Yeah. So that is absolutely awesome news. But yeah, yesterday, that comeback win in the fashion that they did it, when you have your number one pitcher, whatever, Ranger Suarez, 1-2, whatever you want to call him, didn't have a good day, got hit hard. You came back and got that game. I thought it was really cool. 14 hits from like a mishmash of a lineup yesterday,
I was going to say,
right?
These lineups are going to look really weird the next couple of weeks.
They are. But you got 14 hits from 2 through 5. Your 2-hitter through 5 hitters. Yesterday in the Phillies lineup went 11 for 19.
Incredible.
With all 7 RBI. Trey Turner, part of that 2-hole hitter. He went 3 for 5, 2 RBIs. Clutch in the 7th inning, gets the game-winning single there. Trey Turner, we've kind of, I don't want to say taken for granted, but when somebody comes back, it's going to take a while. He didn't do a rehabilitation, anything like that. He just comes back swinging, and he's still at like 333.
Incredible.
It is. I think that's going to be a big thing moving forward because I think batting-wise, he's only going to get better. Alec Boehm, 2-run home run in the first, I believe it was, after they got down 1-0. March goes 2 for 4. Castellanos, 4 for 5 with 3 RBI. Starting to look a little bit more comfortable up there. Tough outing for Ranger, as I said, 4 2/3 inning, 9 hits, 6 earned runs. Even more concerning, 0 strikeouts.
Yes.
Yeah. So maybe he's hitting like a little bit of a valley here. Hopefully he gets out of it. Bullpen yesterday, 4 1/3 inning, 2 hits, no runs, 6 strikeouts. That was Ruiz, Sir Anthony, Soto, and Hoffman. Greg Soto, I did a Sir Anthony on Greg Soto. Remember last week or whatever?
Yes,
I said I was shocked that Sir Anthony was pitching so well. Listen to Greg Soto's month of June. 10 innings pitched, 1 earned run, 12 strikeouts. He had to take over when Junior Marte went down. Somebody had to pick up the slack. It's Greg Soto right now. So much maligned, right? Earlier in this season, right? We were all over here like, Soto, I don't know. My God, we keep talking about another bullpen arm. I'm okay. They seem to always get that other bullpen arm from their own bullpen. They are off today, tomorrow in Chicago. I've talked about this before, how there's places, other venues in any sport that I just love watching a game. Chicago's one of them. Wrigley Field, I could watch. Nothing brings me more back to being a little kid than watching the Phillies play at Wrigley. The 23-22 game when I was Mike Schmidt, 4 home runs. Like all of that in Chicago, windy days, being able to watch a game in the summertime during the day.
Exactly.
Absolutely phenomenal. Tomorrow, they're at Chicago, 8 o'clock. Michael Mercado gets his first start. So that'll be interesting because he's forced into that 5th spot. Wednesday, they go at 8 o'clock in Chicago, Zach Wheeler. And then Thursday, 2:20, Christopher Sanchez. After that, 3 in Atlanta. So a fun week coming up. Your Philadelphia Flyers, they drafted a 17-year-old. That's right. Jet Luchenko. You ready for him, Ray? I know you are because he's a centerman, 5'11", 187. Uh-huh. Yeah, Ray's pumped. Are you all right?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. I thought you were going to have some reaction to Jet.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah?
I really look forward to the day that Jet ends up a Flyer.
Might be about 3 or 4 years down the road.
17.
But, so that's everything we got going on here today.
Busy weekend.
It was a fun, good, busy weekend. Like Ray was away, and he said, checking out's not all that hard for him. I try to do that on the weekend. Now, checking out meaning like I don't get in touch with you guys about like, oh, did you see this? Did you see that? I mean, obviously, we all watch everything and keep our eye on everything. But this was a tough weekend to just like check out.
No.
Yeah, so I guess I felt like I was back on the beat. You have your phone turned up so that if anything comes over, you're hearing it right away. But Aim, your reaction? They had to go out and get somebody. They had to go out and get a big body.
Yeah.
And there was 3 that we often talked about. Paul George was one of the 3. He is here. Thoughts when you heard it and thoughts all about it now?
Yeah, I mean, I think I said it here last week. I was like, we're going to talk ourselves into whatever it's going to be. And I don't know how excited initially I was just because I was just thinking about, wow, if you spend that money, what else can you get? And then when I started seeing some of the moves early on, when Andre Drummond, that was the first chip to kind of fall, and then the Eric Gordon, I was like, they're signing Paul George. As soon as the Andre Drummond signing came to be, I knew that they were going to sign Paul George because that is absolutely the move you make to clear as much room and get as many bodies in here without paying too much because you're going to have $200+ million for 2 more players, meaning Tyrese Maxey and Paul George. And I think we did a stream, Mark Jackson and I did. I just looked at it on us. I said, Paul George will be here. And he was like, I was like, that. And now don't report that yet because I don't know that, but I could just tell. So then I really was like, all right, if he's coming, Amy, like, let's just go deep dive into it. And the more I thought about it, the more I thought, okay, this is going to work. It's going to work. And you and I have talked about this. All the things that we think on paper have never worked last year. Look down in the Mavericks. That was not supposed to work.
Right.
You have 2 ball-handling point guards. 2 ball-dominant point guards. Look up at Minnesota. That's not supposed to work with 2 7-footers. It does. So I thought, okay, things are happening. Things are going in the correct direction. I feel like Paul George is the right answer to the question of what are the Sixers going to do this offseason to make themselves better. That's it. And I think that he will. When you gave us the stats last week and said if he does this, this, and this, and you gave us basically Tobias Harris numbers, it's going to look different, though. And I think that's where it is. And he is a player that plays the entire game with the same level of energy. And I think that's something that people really appreciate here.
Yeah, and it is pretty remarkable how, through his career, you knew who he was, you knew what he was about, up-and-coming star when he was with Indiana, and then he prospers he grows into it. But if you do go look at highlights from last year with the Clippers, because I was anxious to see, exactly
what's he what I did.
Yeah, so did I. I've done it numerous times. How many times, take a look, late shot clock, late game, he's not giving the ball up. And I like that. Now, he also has a chance to give it up because you have a guy like Joel Embiid and you have a guy like Tyrese Maxey who are big play players.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It used to be a question here, who's going to shoot the last shot? Is it going to be Joel Embiid? And this was a couple of years ago, and you're wondering, and at the time it was probably Jimmy Butler, and then the different iterations of the Sixers team going forward, there was a question to that, like who is going to take the last shot? Because you're going to get a double team on Joel Embiid. Now you have multiple options. I think Tyrese Maxey showed us that last year that he is a guy that's absolutely up for the moment. He will take the last shot. He showed us in that Heat game. He showed us in certain times of the postseason as well as the regular season. So now you have the third option being Paul George. And I don't mean that in a disparaging, like, all right, 1, 2, 3. I mean, you have 3 bona fide options for scoring and for taking the last shot. I think that's when you were mentioning last week how you have 3 certified stars. They have that now. They have 3 certified stars. Now it's obviously up to Nick Nurse to figure out how it's all going to work. I mean, they still have roster spots to fill. And I know, I'm trying to look at, I pulled up, SportTrack has like a great, kind of calculator that you can use for salary cap. And I do want to, you said Jeff Doughton, he is not on the Sixers.
Okay. I wasn't sure. I saw his 2-year deal.
Yeah, they waived him.
Oh, okay.
It was a team option, I believe, and they waived that.
How did I miss the Dalton?
I know, I'm so sorry. But
Yeah.
so it's Gordon, Oubre. Technically, Paul Reed is still on there, but he is not. I think that is not a guaranteed, so he's not actually counted.
I just read something before we came on air that they're probably going to.
I just don't think the money will work.
Yeah, he's at $7.5 million, right around there.
That won't be able to be. That's not good. The math is not going to math on that one. You're looking at probably another veteran minimum, and I think they can get a mid-level exception. I don't know how creative they can get with some of that stuff, but they basically had like $15 million to work with after the Paul George.
Right, because mid-level's around 12, I believe.
So
yeah, they can look to get some. They do have work to do.
Oh yeah.
Look, you got. There's more to do.
Yeah.
I was talking to the guy on the mornings before we went on air, and then they brought it up. I was going to try to save it for this show, but I hope that they do enough things that it's in Nick Nurse's head. Should I start Kelly Oubre or shouldn't I?
Right.
You know what I mean? I want the team to get that good. Just like at the point last year with DeAnthony Melton, Kelly Oubre, when I was talking to Nurse, and he's like, yeah, I'm still juggling in my head what to do with those two. Good problem to have. I want them to have that good problem again.
Yeah, and DeAnthony Melton is the name that I think is most interesting about what kind of deal he could come back on. I do think that Kelly Oubre, I'm interested to talk to him whenever he becomes available to see if he did take a quote discount.
Yeah.
Because I think he might have been able to go. The way that they're giving out contracts right now, I mean, there's bananas contracts out there. I just saw Isaiah Joe's contract. Do you see this?
I didn't see him signing. I didn't.
He re-signed with the Thunder, and it's like $48 million. 4 years, $48 million. As a guy that was waived by the Sixers, and I think that he was obviously. I think that a lot of people have bitter feelings about that. But I thought, well, maybe when I saw something like that, I'm like Kelly Oubre, maybe he could have gotten closer to 10. Is that even important to him? Is 10 million important with him?
Did he want to be here?
Exactly, and that's something that'd be my first question because he's taking 8. And I thought maybe you could have pushed the envelope. But you take 8, which is right around the mid-level exception, a little bit above it, and then you can stay here and play with team system and players that you believe can get you to that next level. And that would be a question I would have for him because I think that that's probably what happened on that regard. But DeAnthony Melton is an interesting player because you should be able to get him, whomever it is, if it's the Sixers, certainly, on a team-friendly deal.
Yeah, absolutely. Ray, your reaction, and you also have some news for us, huh?
Now, breaking sports news from 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
We have to bid farewell to an old friend.
Oh.
Tobias Harris has agreed to a 2-year, $52 million deal with the Detroit Pistons.
Think about that contract. When I was just talking about how they're giving bananas money away. The Pistons, and I think the Pistons, and I have to look up their whole salary cap situation. I feel like they were the Sixers were like a decade ago, where the Sixers were just spending money to get up to the salary cap floor. 2 years, $52 million? $52 million.
Yep.
I wonder.
Wait a minute.
I'm really
Guy
sitting here
gets
wondering if Tobias Harris went, really? Okay,
$26 million?
That's unbelievable. That's incredible.
I knew he was good. I thought the Pistons, they had long been rumored the last couple of weeks that they were a good landing spot for him. I saw the Clippers might have been interested because I think the Clippers are just in full-on, whatever, not tank mode, but not paying people that they need to pay and just kind of spending money to spend it type of vibe. But $52 million, a 2-year deal for Tobias.
So
good luck.
How would you love to be a Detroit fan where, all right, Cunningham and Tobias.
Right?
Here we go.
And they gave a lot of money to Cunningham.
Yeah, he got
for a guy that's
big
got
pay.
Some serious injury history in his young career.
I swear I am like semi-stunned right now.
$52 million for Tobias Harris.
So Ray, I know you were, traveling abroad and doing what you do and then unpacking and packing for your next trip. So you had a busy day yesterday, but did you have time to get some reaction to Paul George signing with the Sixers?
Oh, absolutely.
And?
Yesterday, turbulence on the flight wasn't the only thing that was really shaky with me. I was going through all the emotions throughout all of yesterday afternoon, just waiting to see. I paid for the flight Wi-Fi because I needed to be so tapped in. It did not work very well. I was not very happy. But I was so tapped in on what was going to happen. 6 o'clock comes around, and all I get is Luke Cornett deal.
Yeah.
And that to me was like, I need something. Give me a sign. Give me something. And then the weird Clippers press release of like, goodbye, he's going to sign somewhere else. The KCP news. And I'm like, this can't really be happening. This can't really be happening. I had that little cynical, like, Philadelphia nature in the back of my head of like, how is this going to go in a way that does not favor me? How is this somehow going to slip from their grasp? Somehow all the money's dried up, but how is Paul George not going to end up on my team? And even when I went to bed last night, in my head, I knew that it was probably going to happen, but I was terrified of waking up to some alternate reality. So when I rolled over this morning and saw that it was finally done, it was a couple of fist pumps. And you guys are making it seem like, well, they had to do something. They did the thing. They did the thing here.
We said that. No, I'm not playing. They had to do this. They got it done. Good on them. And it's funny you say that because I still have my phone on for alerts. So it's funny you say that, Ray. No, they had Keith Pompey. NBA TV had Keith Pompey on yesterday, who we're going to have with us at 1:00 today. I didn't realize it, but it was a taped. Like this was like 7 o'clock, where I'm waiting for more news, and they're talking about, well, if the Sixers don't get. You could tell that it was taped anyway. But Keith said, if they don't get Paul George, I think almost exactly he said they're in real trouble. And that's how close they were. No, you're exactly right. They could have been in real trouble. They got what's good. You know me, Ray. I'm the type of guy, I see great, then my head turns and says, well, how can great even get better? I think you have to be there. This is great. You had to go out and do this. You still need more.
Yeah, Daryl Morey, you go do the more. I'm thrilled today. They did the thing. Paul George is a Sixer.
Yeah, do you think we hear anything more today?
Yeah.
Hopefully during this show.
Yeah, it'd be great.
Yeah.
I do. I think that there's a lot of these contracts that were worked on overnight and got done. That's why you're having things come out this morning. Did you see the numbers on the Isaiah Hartenstein deal?
I saw him. I just saw that he signed. I was getting ready to come in here to do the crossover.
$87 million for 3 years, $29 million per for a guy that basically just rebounds and has a floater. We are all in the wrong business.
That little left-handed floater got him almost $90 million.
He makes more than Bryce Harper. He makes more than Mike Trout.
Oh my!
What are we doing?
Gosh.
But the Knicks got worse.
Did they?
Well, in that sense,
okay.
They lost. They lost a key contributor for their team.
That's true. But they do.
Contributor.
Yeah, they do. They are going to get Julius Randle back.
I think he's very replaceable.
Yeah.
You think so?
Because of this, right? And I'm not arguing with you or being.
You can argue with me.
I will say because I think their surrounding cast is so good that whatever you put there in that spot is going to be better. Like Hartenstein, I think got better because of the surrounding people around him. You put him on a mediocre team. He's not like a key piece to a team, I don't think. I think he's a key piece when the surroundings are better with him.
Okay, on the other side of that, Achua out, Hartenstein out, Mitchell Robinson, we know the history with him there. Has their front court gotten weaker?
Yeah.
And if you're going to match up with the Sixers, I'd prefer to have a pretty strong front court to mess with Embiid.
I'm with you on that.
Like to me, that's the thing. They lost a bruiser with Embiid in the post. That makes me feel better.
Okay. All right, hey, fair enough.
Yeah.
Good on, and also OKC's probes the best team in the West now.
Those are two contracts that are kind of blowing my mind. Tobias Harris and Hartenstein.
Yeah, I think OKC has. I think they probably were the best team last year as well, but I think they definitely surpassed the Nuggets now.
And they needed a little muscle in the front court, and I think they got that.
Yeah, because they didn't have.
Hey, good for them. I'm worried about
it's a fun team. And I revisited it yesterday. What the Thunder got for the Paul George trade.
Oh, you dove deep.
It's a banana. Talk about crazy. We thought the Mikal Bridges thing was crazy. I can read it out to you. So just Paul George.
Right.
This is what the Thunder got in return. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Okay, that right there, looking back, would have been
he'll
enough.
only be the MVP
Exactly,
this year.
right? They also got Danilo Gallinari. Then they got the 2021 Heat first rounder that was unprotected. He took Trey Mann at 18. They also got the Clippers 2022 unprotected. They took Jalen Williams at 12. Then they got the 2023 Clippers first round swap. That was not conveyed, but they still got the rights to it. 2024 unprotected first rounder, which the Clips gave away this year. 2025 Heat pick. 2025 swap with the Clippers, and the 2026 Clippers first rounder, unprotected. I thought the whole Durant and Bradley Beal deals for the Suns were, but until I read this and I thought, oh wow, Sam Presti absolutely fleeced the Clippers.
Wow, unbelievable! All right, we're going to dive even deeper into this. Paul George signing, what the Sixers roster is, what it is now, what they might need, because you got the big piece. You got it. It's exactly what many wanted. I would say everybody wanted one of the pieces. He was one of the pieces. Where do you go from here? So we'll look a little bit further along the line to see what's going to happen with the Sixers and maybe what we think they should do, because Daryl Morey is not done yet. Amy Fadul's here all day long. I'm Bob Cooney. This is Middays, 97.5 The Fanatic. On this Monday morning, glad that you joined us. Hope you're having a great day. Maybe it's a short work week for many out there. We all know it is for Ray. It is for Amy, and I will be with you Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday this week. Yeah. So looking forward to a great week. A lot going on as the Sixers do sign Paul George. We were laughing about the contracts because we're saying, Tobias Harris now makes the same amount of money as Bryce Harper. And then we started saying, I bet you Bryce Harper could have scored a point in Game 6 against the Knicks. I do. I think he would have gotten the ball and just bullied his way into a foul and at least made a foul shot. So just crazy contracts. If you hadn't heard, Tobias Harris is going to the Detroit Pistons for 2 years at 56 million?
52 million. 26 per.
$2 million. Unbelievable. But we are talking 76ers today, and we are all in agreement as we're trying to figure out a starting lineup and all of that stuff. Daryl Morey has to do more. So this is the first question I'm putting out to you today. 610-632-0975. Really want to hear what you have to say. What would make you happier? I'm saying stay where you are now. Paul George is here, all the moves that have been made. What more would make you happier? Mine is this. I would be happier if somehow Daryl Morey made moves that it became an option that, should we start Kelly Oubre or should he come off the bench? Something like that would make me happier because that proves depth, that proves starters, that proves that you have a really good starting lineup that you might say, I could bring him off the bench for 25, 30 minutes a night, and that would be really, really cool. That would say to me, that is a good team. Do you have anything, Aim, like what would make you happier?
One thing would make me a little bit happier is because I prefer Tyrese Maxey to play off ball, is to have a more traditional point guard to start. So you would have a more traditional one, not super traditional, but a more traditional one, Maxey as your 2, and then trickle down from there with the 3, the 4, and the 5. That's one thing that I would like. That's on my little wish list right now. That's on my wish list.
Yeah, because we were talking about it. I don't want Tyrese Maxey to be, air quote, burdened with at the times you need to run a half court or whatever, that he is the guy. Now, look, we're going to see tons of pick and rolls with this team. It's going to be with Paul George and Embiid. It's going to be with Maxey and Embiid. It's going to be with Maxey and Paul George. There's going to be a lot of stuff that goes on here. Amy and I were talking about it on the break. Positionless basketball seems to be where the Sixers are going here a little bit. But, yeah, I would be happier if that option with Kelly Oubre was there. It means your team is so good that you might not have to start him. Maybe you would, but it might, a better fit might just be there. So the question out there, 610-632-0975. You can call. You can text us that same number. What would make you happier? And I'm not saying take something away. I'm talking about adding on to what you have. Ike in Southwest Philly. You're on 97.5 The Fanatic. What's up, Ike?
What's going on, y'all?
How you doing?
Hey.
All right. So I'm happy, first of all, to stay there from the beginning. But you know what would make me happy? And this, to me, an under-radar type of pickup. Give me a Precious Achiuwa. I would like that. I think he played for Nurse. He played for Nurse before. He plays defense. He's semi a big man. He could play the small ball 5 if you don't want to play Drummond and you try to match up. He actually hits a 3 sometimes, and I think he's a rebounder. So I like that. And I think it's out of the realm a little bit. I would love if we could have traded Paul Reed, but I think he might be a little bit more, but he got like a Marcus Smart, so then Max, he could play the 2. And Marcus Smart is a little bit of a bigger guard who could stick like bigger guards and got that dog in him and that talent. Yeah. So those 2 things, I'm sorry I did. But
Ike, I'm sorry. Your phone's breaking up really bad on us. I'm sorry. Great stuff by you there. Precious Achiuwa. Center power forward.
Yeah, so the Knicks let him go.
Yeah.
Didn't extend a qualifying offer. They're running out of money.
Yeah, I'm thinking of a fit, Aim. What do you think?
I like the idea of what Ike was talking about as far as like you could, if there's a matchup for a small ball 5, he does bring a lot of defense and rebounding. He's a big body. I don't know. I don't know that I would I don't even know what the cost would be on a Precious Achiuwa.
Yeah.
I'd have to look that up. It's not the worst idea I've ever heard. I like the idea of a guy being like, because, we talk about it, and I think it's not an overused conversation. You have to think about the minutes and maybe games when Joel Embiid is not in.
Right.
It's just a fact of the matter with the Sixers. And so having a player that's a guy that could be a small ball 5, but very physical one at that, is a good idea because you're kind of, whether it's a matchup based or just trying to do something a little bit different. I like that idea. So
a good rebounder. Yeah. Is that somebody that you can afford to kind of plug in a specialist if you're looking for another starter with this Sixers team right now.
Right.
Right? I mean,
you can afford
it could be a wing defender. It could be a rebound. Achiuwa's a really good rebounder. It could be something like that. You and I were talking about a bigger, more not traditional point guard, exactly how you described it, but somebody else that can handle the ball that gets Maxey out on the run. Look, when you get rebounds and you want to go, I have no problem giving the ball to Maxey, all that, and going. But when it comes to half-court sets or something like that, if you're going to run anything traditional, I just want another ball. I don't want the burden to be on Tyrese Maxey of, all right, well, we need you to get them set here. It's a shame there's not a 6'5", 26-year-old Kyle Lowry out there.
I know. Well, it's a shame that they had a big point guard that, they had to trade away to the Nets because he stopped playing basketball.
Yeah, he doesn't like playing basketball.
Doesn't like it.
I don't believe.
But I feel like there are, and your point I think is really good. I think there is room now to have these kind of just fit type of guys, right? That fill like whatever niche you're looking to do, whether it's playing a small ball 5, whether it is just being a traditional point guard. You have room for that. And I think there are players out there at either the mid-level exception or the veteran minimum. I mean, we're looking at this roster, and it didn't include right now DeAnthony Melton or Kyle Lowry, two guys that I think could be back here based on what their contracts the Sixers could afford. You are missing a player in your starting lineup. You're missing a starter.
Yeah. No matter what you're looking for, you're kind of missing it.
So either if you're looking for a traditional point guard, you put Maxey at the 2, Oubre's the 3, Paul George is the 4, Joel Embiid's the 5. Okay, fine. Even if you go Maxey 1, Oubre 2, or Paul George at 2, whatever you want to say, positionless type of basketball.
Right.
Paul George then, if either one of those at the 3, then you're missing a 4.
Right.
With Joel Embiid at the 5. So you're missing somebody.
Or in my scenario, you're missing 2 if you get good enough that you can have Kelly. You got to have somebody good coming off the bench.
Right.
And I'm not saying they don't, the guys they have aren't good, but, you know what type you need coming off the bench. That would be...
And you saw that with Kelly Oubre. He was a great player when he was coming off the bench. He's a great starter, too, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But
I want
it's nice to have that boost.
So that's how I'd be happier. I'd be happier if they filled out this kind of starting 5 and Kelly Oubre was coming off the bench. What about you? What would make you even happier today on this happy day of getting Paul George? 610-632-0975. Will in Brookhaven, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic. What's going on, Will?
Hey, how you doing, guys?
Great.
Hey, Will.
Hey, Amy, how you doing?
Good.
Me, I would want to get another big man, and if I can get couple wings, because we don't have enough wing defenders. Like somebody that can handle the ball. I don't know if Caleb Martin's still available or.
Yeah, I mean, he's out there. Caleb Martin is out there.
Yeah, I would love him. I would love to have him, and a possible another big man. I mean, I was hoping for Hartenstein, but that's too much money for that guy.
$29 million, right?
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Will, let me ask you something. It was going to be the next topic that we bring up when we get back from the break. What about Andre Drummond? Are you happy with that?
Yeah, but
okay.
I mean, I would have an insurance big man just in case.
Sure.
Yeah, and indeed, I mean, I don't want him, wish no injuries, but I want him to have a healthy season. But just in case, have an extra big man on hand, and I would like to look at what's going on in Brooklyn and maybe do like a soft trade, maybe dangle Paul Reed and have it like a Cam Johnson or what's his name, Dorian Finney-Smith.
Yeah, that's Will. Thanks so much for the call. Really appreciate it. In order to trade Paul George, they're going to have to sign him or guarantee that $7.5 million contract that he has, and then trade. I can't wait to talk to Keith Pompey because the ins and outs of CBA and everything you can do is something that he's really good at discussing. We'll see. Paul Reed's it was funny. I was toying with the idea when these moves started. Okay, if you get Paul George, positionless basketball, is there room for like a Paul Reed to be that wild card starter at 4? Go get some rebounds. Don't worry about your fouls. You can play 18 minutes and get 6 fouls. We don't care. All we want from you is energy, loose balls, all of those types of things. The reason it was going through my head was because there is still things that have to be done. And are some of them here? Have some of them been here? We'll go through all that. The question that we'll put out there to you now is, what would make you happier? Maybe you have specific names. Maybe you're okay where they are. Maybe you think Ricky Council needs to get some more run. Whatever it is, let us know. 610-632-0975. Hope you're having a great Monday. This is Middays. Bob Cooney, 97.5 The Fanatic. Welcome back, middays, everybody, as we get close to the 11 o'clock hour with Amy Fadul. Today, I'm Bob Cooney. Ray Dunn is back. He's producing for today and tomorrow. So, love to have Ray back in the saddle. We won't get too used to it because he's got some more stuff coming up. I said, the reason I'm busting on you today so much is because, God, how I wish I was you. So, Ray's having his fun summer, which is terrific. Sixers are having a fun summer also, as last night or early this morning, I should say, even in L.A. time, it was the morning. They signed Paul George.
Did you see what he was wearing?
With his meeting with Maury and stuff? No, I didn't.
An Allen Iverson shirt. Did you see that?
That man was coming here the whole time.
I know. That's amazing. Imagine. I want to know exactly how these meetings work because in my mind, he's sitting in a boardroom and you get a clock. It's like a speed dating round. And first the Magic come in and he shakes their hand and says, no, thank you, and whatever else.
It's a speed dating round. Okay.
Right, like, you know what I mean? And then, like, the Clippers come in. Clippers come in. They present maybe they've got PowerPoint. I don't really know. But in my mind, this is how it went.
He went like this, 3 or 4 years. They said 3. He went out.
That's it.
Yeah.
Speed dating, that round is over.
Yeah.
The Magic come in, say, here's what we're building in Orlando. And he says 3 or 4 years. And they say 3. And he's whatever it was, 5. Done. You're out. But the whole time, is he wearing the Allen Iverson shirt?
Did he switch? Did he go from like...
Does he have like a Shaq shirt on?
Did he have a Harden
first?
shirt? And then he went Shaq and then he went Allen Iverson?
I'm fascinated by how the whole... Because that was the whole report yesterday. Said he is holding meetings with 3 teams in California. I'm like, I wanted it to be a speed dating round. So the Sixers come in, and apparently they brought in all their heavy hitters, including a guy that's in their personnel department that knows Paul George from his days in Indiana. So obviously, they're trying to use everything. But if you walk in, if I'm the Sixers and I see him wearing an Allen Iverson shirt, I think I've got it in the bag.
And you walked in with Dr. J.
Right.
And I thought to myself, ooh, that's a little... Although everyone knows who Julius Erving is, of course, and it's the doctor. Could you imagine if they walked in with Allen Iverson?
And he's sitting there on his shirt? So I was like, that's going to be one of my first questions of Paul Reed. Like, tell him, he's not going to be able to tell you that, but I really want to know how those meetings went. Were they speed dating rounds? Because that's what my imagination has, and I'm going to stick with that.
Yeah, I saw on Twitter somebody say I guess it was Friday. I just got on a flight to go to L.A. and Daryl Morey's on my flight. Is this good news? Whatever. He had to go out there. I mean, I was surprised it was Friday. I thought maybe he would have gone out a little earlier, but maybe they had stuff in the bag, and he was just like, yeah, let me go Friday, spend a day Saturday,
hang out
fun,
in L.A., catch up with some peeps on the West Coast.
Yeah, and then we'll see what's going on. But just neat happenings with the Sixers, obviously, with Paul George coming in. Andre Drummond, AIM, I really, really liked when I saw that.
It's interesting because my first thought was they tried to get Andre Drummond last year at the trade deadline, and the Bulls asked too much.
Don't get him started.
I know, we all know. But what a difference that would have been if he had been here last year. Whatever. It's hard.
Go, Ray.
It's hard to think about that.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
It doesn't seem fine as you're pounding your desk in there.
Yeah, fine. It's whatever. I'm over it. I'm over the Bulls.
He's here now.
Are you
I'm
sure?
not upset.
The fact that the Bulls held on to him for just to lose him and Caruso.
They traded Caruso for Getty, and they got nothing for Drummond when they could. Now, you know what? It's all right. The Sixers got Paul George. Drummond's back. I'm not going to get upset today. All right?
Are you sure?
I'm going to let it go. Okay? Yeah, the Bulls could have gotten multiple picks for Caruso. And yeah, they could have got 3 second-round picks from the Sixers for Andre Drummond. But no, it's fine. They're cool. They got nothing for Drummond. All they got is Josh Giddey to show for Alex Caruso. It's totally fine. I'm not upset. I don't want you. Don't anyone out there report that I'm upset. Okay? I'm happy today. I'm very happy.
Okay. All right.
Not upset.
That works
but yes,
for me.
This was the signing. This was the one signing I think pretty much all of Sixers fandom can agree on. You needed to have. It was the best backup that Joel Embiid has ever had in Andre Drummond. I think it really revitalized his career. He is. That's something that Andre Drummond has said that given the opportunity, how much he enjoyed playing here, how much it really did kind of put him back on the map. And the one thing we learned from that Knicks series was rebounding. And what is the one thing that Andre Drummond does really, really well? Rebounding.
Yeah. As we said earlier, 18.9 rebounds per 36 minutes. That's a pretty good number there.
That's a great rate.
Ryan in Hatboro, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic. What's up, Ryan?
Yo, Bob, what's up? Hey, Aim, how are you?
Hey, Ryan.
just got to tell you, like, I'm ecstatic with this move. I got to be honest with you. Since I heard in November when Chris Haynes started planting these leaves that, like, look, if Paul George leaves, it's Philly. Bob, I admit, I think he's the perfect fit. I think that what you need him to do, you don't need him to come in here, right, and be the guy, right? He's going to be one of the three. But what I really like about him is simply that he's going to get a ton of open looks. Because if you double Embiid, guess what? You're going to have Paul George on the wing shooting threes all day. And I think that's where the Sixers are going to get their most bang for their buck. Now, in terms of free agents, and one guy stole my thunder with Dorian Finney-Smith. So I'm just going to give you a couple names that, like, I've been looking at, and I wonder if we can, like, mix them in. So, first of all, Gary Trent Jr., right? He played with Nick Nurse in Toronto.
Yeah.
And then if you want to take some flyers, like, I know he's been hurt, but what about, like, Victor Oladipo, right, on a minimum deal? I was looking at him. Dario Saric, bring him back. I wonder if he would take the minimum. And then also, like, you know, who was the other guy? There was somebody else that I was thinking. Lonnie Walker. Like, would he take? You know, like, guys like that. I wonder if they, with this roster, if you get some guys in here, Bob and Amy, that want to come in and just want to win. You know what I mean? Like, kind of like another Kelly Oubre deal that they got last year. So,
yeah,
I don't know your thoughts about any of those.
Right. I appreciate the call. Thanks for making it. The one thing that Ryan said was the one thing that, I don't want to say gives me hesitation, was the one positives. This little, I don't even want to call it a black cloud. I don't know what I want to call it. But he said, this is the perfect fit with Joel Embiid. Oh, my God. I don't know if it is or isn't.
Yeah.
We'll see. Because we've all been around this team for all the years that Joel Embiid has been here, and fit seems to be the thing that they just haven't been able to find. But Ryan makes a great point. You're right. Go try to double Joel Embiid right now.
I do think, though, the point of people wanting to come here now with Paul George being here, like, I think I didn't like the narrative that was surrounding a lot of this talk the last week or so, where this wasn't a destination. Philadelphia is not a destination. I think the players around the league, a lot of them, really look up to players like Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey, those two specifically, and want to play with them. I think Paul George makes it infinitely more attractive, but I think it was an attractive place, period.
Yeah.
And I think when you add in Paul George, I think there are players that are going to take. I think Kelly Oubre took less money. I think there's a good chance of that. I think maybe he could have gotten more, but he took maybe. And granted, it's maybe only like $1 million or so less. But when that's still money. And
Sure.
I think there are players that could take veteran minimums or mid-level exceptions to come here. We're going to add up all these numbers right now. The Sixers, I think, are at it, right? I think they're at it. I think they're at the limit.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean there can't be creative ways to make something happen,
Sure.
trade-wise, veteran minimum-wise. I think there are players out there. He mentioned a couple different names that I thought were interesting. Dario Saric doesn't really do much for me.
No. He did teach me curse words in a foreign language.
No, that's
so
something
that was
fun.
cool.
We all learned how to say his name properly after the first entire season he was here.
Yeah.
I remember Mark Zumoff really emphatically being like, it is Saric. It's Saric. And because we were like, Saric? And he was like, don't stop saying it like that. But he finally said it, I think, on camera with Dario. But that's not a move that really excites me. But there's some that I thought were mentioned. I was like, all right, well, maybe.
Yeah,
Maybe
and you're
there's a couple
at
guys.
that luxury right now.
Yeah, maybe.
You are at that luxury. If you want to throw out some names that would make you happier, what could make you even more happy with this 76ers team realistically? Now that they have Paul George, you still have some pieces you have to fill. Maybe you know what they are. 610-632-0975. This is Middays. Bob Cooney, 97.5 The Fanatic. 11:03 here on Middays. If you only could see the fun we have during our breaks. Glad that you're back with us. Bob Cooney here with Amy Fadul. Ray Dunn is producing today. Good day. Everybody's got good vibes. You know, you were waiting for stuff to happen, and if it didn't happen, it happened. Paul George is a Philadelphia 76ers because of a 4-year, $212 million contract. Money is flying all over the NBA.
Crazy contract.
Unbelievable. The Sixers also wind up signing Andre Drummond to a 2-year, $10 million deal. I was so happy to see that. It was just like, oh, okay, cool. This little side things are good,
That
too.
was the move.
Yeah, didn't mind that at all. Eric Gordon comes here for minimum salary. And also this morning we find out that the Sixers did give to Tyrese Maxey the rookie maximum contract of 5 years, $204 million. Other Sixers kind of news is that Tobias Harris, he's gone officially. He has gone to the Detroit Pistons for 2 years and $52 million. Also want to tell you that, hey, the 10 o'clock hour, that was fun.
Great hour.
It was brought to you by Window Nation. Take advantage of Window Nation's 50% off sale on all style windows. Plus, make no down payment with no payments and no interest for 12 full months. Call 866-90-NATION or visit windownation.com. So the first thing that we put out there to you today is we're happy.
Yeah.
Right? We're happy. Everybody's happy as a group. Maybe you wanted something different, but you wanted something. And one of those somethings had to be one of the big three, and you got it in Paul George. And now it's time to build up the side pieces, as Daryl Morey has done it a little bit.
Yeah.
There has to be more to come because you still don't have a full roster. Also, I want to see this starting five build out a little bit more. Now, I think he has to channel his inner Howie Roseman. As you said, Amy, they're up against it with the money right now. You got to do some little squirrely
creative things.
Yeah, little squirrely things they have to do. I'm anxious to see what it might be.
Yeah, I think that there are moves to be made. You know, you and I were just talking about who's on the roster, who's starting. We don't know. You don't really know the starting five.
We got three of them, definitely.
For sure, right? You got three: Maxey, George, Embiid. Done.
I think they're starters, yeah. I think Matt Cord will announce their name, hopefully, 40 times.
Kelly Oubre probably going to start. I know you like him off the bench, and I appreciate that about you. But
right now, he's a starter,
He's a starter. Okay. I'm missing another guy. Other guys on the bench, right? We have technically Paul George, even though he's not a guaranteed contract, he is still there. They have not, nullified that deal.
Paul Reed.
Paul Reed, yeah. Did I say Paul George? Mark it down.
No, because we're not doing that this week.
Yeah, you guys have both done already in this hour.
We did?
I was thinking about doing a special edition tomorrow as like my last segment before I got out of here.
No, that didn't.
Is that what you were thinking?
Tuesday.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Eric Gordon, Andre Drummond. Okay, so now we're up to what, 7 players?
Uh-huh.
Okay, you need 5 more. You need 5 more players.
Well, you got the 2 rookies.
Okay, there you go. And maybe
Dembona, is he going to be a starter for you?
No.
No. He's a project.
I like him.
So do
like him.
I like energy. It's going to be,
I like
maybe
Justin
once
Edwards.
in a while.
I think Justin Edwards will spend a lot more time up here than not up here.
Okay.
He can be a nice wing player.
Mm-hmm.
But he's not going to count. I'm not going to put on. So I'm up to 9 players. So I need 4 more.
Yeah, well,
three more at least to get to 12.
Yeah.
Usually you have,
15 is what
minimum you need 12
got
players.
the 2-way guys and all that. Yeah.
So
there's still some things to do.
That doesn't include Kyle Lowry. That doesn't include DeAnthony Melton. 2 guys I think that could come back depending on how they structure those the veteran minimum. I would think for Kyle Lowry, if he so chooses. But there's still a lot to be done.
There is a lot to be done.
I think the point guard would make me the most. To answer your question, that would make me the most happy. A more traditional point guard.
Yeah, I don't think you can't put a rookie in the starting lineup with the expectations that you have here.
Jared McCain?
Like, you can't do it.
First of all, let's just talk about Jared McCain, because I didn't get to come on.
You didn't. Let's
on
talk
Friday.
about him before we get to our text messages.
This guy, the more I look at him and his social media, it's just tremendous. Tremendous. Brings a smile to my face, everything. And I talked to Daryl Morey on draft night, and I mentioned to him, I said, I followed Jared McCain because I follow people on Twitter and Instagram and whatever else and TikTok. And I thought, I mentioned him. I said, have you seen any of his videos? I was like, yeah, I've seen some of them. I'm like, have you seen the person smile more than him except for Tyrese Maxey? And he's looked at me and goes, and I said, yeah, you got the smiliest backcourt in all of the NBA.
the smile. How do you rate the Sixers backcourt? Yeah. Well, they're the smiliest.
These guys are hard workers. They both have exceptional reputations of being first in the gym type of vibes with Tyrese Maxey and Jared McCain. The only knock, and it was funny talking to Jared McCain, it was brought up, I was like, don't you think it's funny? You're a short point guard at 6'3", and he goes, I've never been called that before, but I understand that is like one of the things against me. But I mean, I don't think he starts with the expectations the way the team is built this year. But right now, he's a point guard. You need one.
Might be there.
Put him in there. Yeah, I don't think that's realistic.
Ray and I were talking about his social media before the show, and I saw something else up, and I guess I made, I said, I'm not making this generational. So what I'm going to say is, I can live without it, but I don't care that he does it. Like, I'm not going to follow it. I'm not going to have to jump on there.
I'm telling you, it's fun.
I know. And I saw him do the two things in a Sixers uniform, his first two things in a Sixers uniform. Look, if you're having fun, I will never, ever, ever take away fun from you. Yeah. If I was the general manager of the team, I don't even know if I'd address it. I might say, hey, just make sure it doesn't cut into anything that we need you to do. Like, I don't need you studying the playbook, more because you're spending too much time on here, but whatever. I'm not, have your fun. I am. I'm not, now look, I'm not going to look it up and say, oh, did you see his latest? That's just me.
Yeah.
But I am not going to cut it short. I'm not going to be.
I'll send every TikTok to you.
That's fine. You can send it to me. I mean, maybe I'll look at it. If you think it's a real funny one. Like, I can't imagine $13 million or whatever it was, watched him paint his fingernails.
Yeah, that people will.
What do you know why?
Why what? Why he painted his finger? I guess it was for Duke because it was blue and white.
No. He started earlier on in the season and thought, I shot better when I was able, almost like a catcher would do. His hand positioning, and then it stuck, and then it became like a thing.
Wow.
Because he only used to paint a couple of them, like the first three.
Okay.
And
then, that's what you see on
yes.
Yeah.
And so then he said, well, it became like a good luck charm, and then he just started painting them all.
Interesting.
Fun facts.
Yeah.
Fun facts.
Our friend down at the other radio station, that Casey boy, he paints his toenails. So he always has his toenails painted. Not his fingernails, his toenails.
The amount of hate that people are going to give for things like that are hilarious to me.
Oh,
like you said, like it's just if
you're having fun, have fun. If you're not hurting anybody, having fun, why would you take it away from? I'm all about that. Go do you. I don't mind that at all. Don't let it affect, and it hasn't. As you said, he seems to be a really, really hard worker. John Kincaid's favorite word in the English language is joyous. I think the Sixers, as you called it, smiliest. Yeah. I think joyous might be a better word, Aim, but they may have the most joyous backcourt in the NBA.
Listen, these are guys that work hard and play hard and seem to really enjoy basketball, and I will take that every day of the week.
Absolutely. It was funny for my high school team when we were inducted into something as a team. That's what our coach. That's how he talked about us. He goes, the reason I like this group so much is because they did everything in life 100%. And then he said, not that that's a great thing all the time.
Right. Yeah. Sometimes maybe.
Whatever.
Is it crazy that we're getting to the point where Joel Embiid might be like third or fourth on his own team in terms of being online? Like McCain's an elite all-time content creator. We got two guys now with podcasts with Maxey and Paul George. Like, have we gotten to the point where Embiid has become the veteran of the room, or he's the one that's almost least online of anyone?
It's interesting because he wasn't on he had a couple of like troll type of tweets last night, but that was it. That's the first time you really heard from him in a while.
He really changed when his son was born.
Yeah, but he still likes it. He's still like, you can tell.
He likes it.
The Here We Go yesterday.
It was so great.
I was like, what? Spain doesn't play till 3 o'clock. He's got nothing going with this Euros conversation. This is about free agency, but he's going to make me look up whether or not there's like an F1 race happening right now.
The first thing I did was I pull up all the soccer scores across the world.
Because the England game ended.
Yes. I was like, what is he talking about? I was like, he's trolling us with the free agency. He's back, baby. And Joel Embiid's back.
He tweeted at what, like 2 or 3 in the morning, something last night when he clearly knew that something was about to happen. I can't even. Oh, he said something like, I can't even troll about a sports game, but there's not a sports game going on for me to troll about right now because he knows what he's doing.
Yeah. He knows that he's putting stuff out there.
With the eyes wide open
and we're all trying to figure out, is he talking about a soccer match? Is he talking about some kind of car race? Because that's usually what that was his big defense. Like, I was talking about Madrid, or I was talking. No, you weren't. We know what you were talking. So he couldn't even troll us because there was no sports happening at 3 a.m. Yeah. So that's what he was. That was such a great. That's actually like an all-timer because that's a tweet that's not a tweet that is a tweet.
He's so good because he's so smart.
He is.
The funniest people in life are really, really smart. Yeah,
very smart guy.
He is very, very bright. You know who else is very bright? The people that texted us this morning,
they are.
Ray.
We love
talking about maybe what would make them even more happy with this Philadelphia 76ers team. What do we got, Ray?
All right, we got somebody from Florida checking in saying the next Sixers move that would make me happy would be to sign Klay Thompson.
Huh.
Well, you can tell by our reaction that we may not be in agreement with that.
I've heard that's very popular. I've heard that quite a bit.
Oh yeah.
I don't. That doesn't do much for me. And listen, if he goes out and has a great another year, I'll be the first to say wow, didn't know he still had it in the tank.
Yeah, get his boat out on the Delaware River and he's going up and down under the bridges and all. But and this might be a selfish thing. I don't want to watch somebody's career declining in front of my face. And I just have a feeling that's what we're seeing with Klay Thompson if you bring him in. Now, if you brought him in here and what we're kind of talking about, Aim, like building, and he's coming off the bench for you?
He's not going to do that.
A specialist?
Clay's not going to come off the bench, and he's looking for another contract.
He got benched in the playoffs last year.
Because he was a liability.
He's got to look at himself now and say...
He wants a contract.
No, I know he does,
contract. He wants a contract.
He doesn't want a contract. He wants a contract.
That's the thing. He wants actual, money. He's not veteran, minimum, mid-level exception guy. You do have to... It is, to your point, though, it is kind of the end of an era. You're seeing guys that are on their way out, like the Chris Pauls and the Klay Thompsons. And
Chris Paul going to San Antonio for a year.
I mean,
you roll your eyes at that?
What are we doing? Is that a flyer?
Yeah, it's funny because you have to wonder the relationship between he and Pop, right? And you have it's probably pretty good. Like Pop Pop is so well liked by the stars of this league and taking over USA basketball the way he did from Mike Krzyzewski and all of those things. You just wonder if I'm not accusing Pop of anything, but you just wonder if hey Chris,
come on,
give me a solid 1 year. I want Wemby to see what it's like to play with a guy like you. I want to see how he reacts. Because talking to the San Antonio coaches last year that I did when they came in, they admitted to me, look, we're just sitting back and letting him go. We're observing. We're seeing how he reacts. There ain't a lot of coaching going on with him. They were just letting him learn the league. Maybe this is another year of that. I chuckled when I saw that. I was like, yep.
Of course he did.
There you go, Pop. Good job. All right, what else we got, Ray?
All right, we got Sinclair from New Jersey. 3 moves that would make me happier. Trade Reed to Brooklyn for Finney Smith, sign back DeAnthony Melton, and sign Marcus Morris. That team can compete with Boston.
I mean,
without knowing number, I think Finney Smith made $14 million this year, somewhere around there.
So that wouldn't work.
He's right under that threshold if they move off of, if they can, whatever they do with Reed that ends up putting that number in there, they can get to around 15, and that's right around where Finney Smith's contract is.
Okay. Marcus Morris, I am so on board with. I
enjoyed him last year. I think that he enjoyed it, certainly. I thought that was a good move when he was here. You saw, and I got it, that you had to move off of him to get everything done last year. That's understandable.
Right.
With the James Harden deal.
Yeah.
But I thought here's a player that really could help this team in a myriad of the specialist type of vibe, right? Come in.
Starter.
You put him in as the starter at the 4?
Starter. Marcus, you're starting. Yes. And you're going to have to play 20, 23 minutes a night because you got the key to the city because I don't know. I talking to him at the Sixers Gala or whatever it was called last year, off the air, I've never seen somebody so happy to be around a player.
Oh, yeah.
And him talking to me about Joel Embiid, it was just unbelievable. And it was funny because the way we got started talking, when Marcus and his brother were coming out of high school and going to announce what college they were going to, LaSalle was in the running. And John Giannini, who was the coach at LaSalle at that time, I had just got done covering them for some years or whatever. And so we had a relationship, and he called me. He's like, have you heard anything? If you hear anything, make sure you call me. And Ted Solari, the legendary, God rest his soul, Ted Solari at the Daily News was so tied into all the high school guys that he's like, if you find out, let me know if Teddy knows. Anyway, I got word, called Giannini, and I said, Ted's getting that they're going to Kansas. And I think I heard a tear come out of John Giannini's eyes. But anyway, I told that story to Marcus at the gala, and he roared laughing and, said what a great guy John Giannini is and how much he loves Philadelphia. But I'm not going to claim to know him. I've done stories on him through the years, and I remember interviewing their mother or whatever at one point. But I'm telling you, I think that would be a great get back. I would love to see Marcus Mars here.
You really going to start him?
I might. I don't know why I'm so set on having.
I don't know why.
Well, I need people to come off the bench that are going to supply some offense. Right now, you don't have that.
Right.
Like you can look at an Eric Gordon, 35. I think he's for him to get open shots. It's not on a second team.
No.
It's with guys that demand
the doubles and everything else, more of the defensive attention.
I don't know. There's so many different ways to build this roster, but Marcus Mars, yes.
Okay.
What else we got, Ray?
Finney Smith, a popular name today.
He really is.
Sean checking in from PA saying, I'd love for the Sixers to either get Dorian Finney-Smith from Brooklyn or somehow get Klay Thompson. The silence is deafening. All right, can we just put it out there? The show's not pro Klay Thompson of anything else.
I just don't understand what people saw from Klay Thompson last year that they thought, yes, I get it. His shooting numbers are bananas. They're great. 3 years ago.
Yeah.
2 years ago, even. I'll give you
look,
maybe.
Is he a threat still? Probably.
So is Buddy Hield.
Right, but it might have to be in a reserve role. He's not ready for that. Plus, the Sixers can't afford him now.
No.
So we have to take Klay Thompson off the board.
He's not coming here on a
If his name's on our whiteboard in there, right, get the eraser and take it off because it can't. We do have one in there.
Where is it?
We have a whiteboard in there. You never play the game in there?
No.
Are you serious?
I barely go in there.
No,
they don't let me in.
The only Thompsons we've got are Milt and Rob, so I think we are good. No Klay.
No Klay Thompson.
All right, so just not to confuse people, we have a whiteboard in the producer's studio, and we started off by putting a quote from somebody and then putting that person's name. Like, this is bananas, and then I would put a hyphen, Amy Fadul Kane, and then you would put like a slash, and then you have to put another name that either has Amy, either has Fadul, or has Kane in it. Gotcha. But you can only do that twice, and then it works its way.
Trickles down.
I can't believe you've never participated.
I've never.
I'm taking you into that studio on this break, and you are going to participate.
Oh.
Ray, what else do we have?
We had someone check in saying they really, really like the Marcus Smart idea and wanted to hear your thoughts on it.
Marcus Smart.
Of which I just gave. Yeah, I do. I think.
No, Marcus Smart, not Marcus Morris.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said Marcus Smart. I'm sorry.
Smart.
We need contract info on that. Like, Marcus Smart has to have a decent contract.
The only thing I would offer him would be a veteran minimum.
Isn't that amazing,
really?
though? He just got, he just left the Celtics as a very viable piece.
Oh, and they thought people, how are they going to replace Marcus Smart? Drew Holiday called and said, you're going to be just fine.
Yeah. So
the contract wouldn't work, but I would personally.
I always thought Marcus Smart was a player that would fit in well here.
Yeah,
because you hated him.
Would love him here.
You hated him in a Celtics uniform, but you would love him in a Sixers uniform.
Could you imagine him just harassing guys defensively in this town the way we would fall in love with a player like him?
Didn't we say the same thing about Pat Beverly?
There were people
I'm teasing.
There were people in tears that day, that afternoon.
I can't believe
they traded Pat Bev.
Yeah. So Marcus Smart's contract for 24-25, $20 million.
No,
but
you can't afford that.
No, you can't.
Isn't Memphis going to try this year?
Yeah,
yes.
They should be into trying. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
They get
they think they're into trying.
Like they're going to go for this one, right?
Yeah, they're going to actually try to make it to the postseason.
Yeah, so I feel like that's a counterintuitive plan to move off of Smart if you're trying to compete. So that's also one of the things. Contract-wise, doesn't make sense. Also, Memphis should try and be good.
Yeah.
That'd be my advice. Like, hey, Memphis. Like,
hey, you try to be good.
You might want to try and win.
Yeah.
It's tough West, but you might want to try and win.
It is a tough West. Any more, Ray?
It is a tough.
Oh, we got plenty more, Bob.
We got plenty more. Well,
we
let's
got
go
a whole
to break.
show to get to them.
Oh, wow. a little testy
squirrely
there.
today.
A little testy.
Sorry, right? I
was
didn't mean
just
to step on
excited.
your vacation toes. My fault. I apologize. We'll come back
I'm doing
and
the
get
same
more of
number
your
of hours
texts.
of radio as you are this week.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am.
Because he's doing ones later.
Nighttime doesn't count.
Oh, okay.
As a reminder, tonight, Ray will be on 6 to 10, but he will have D. Lynham with him from 6 to 8, as it is an all 76ers access.
Sixers all access.
Something like that.
Close
Okay.
enough.
As I said, it's nighttime. We're so glad you joined us here today as we're all over the place. But big Sixers news. Want to hear your reaction. 610-632-0975. I have a couple of quotes that we have from national people, maybe some sound bites from national people about this, that if you're not feeling real good about it, it might just make you feel real good about it. This is Middays, Bob Cooney, 97.5 The Fanatic. Welcome back, 11:30 here on Middays at the Fanatic. Glad you're joining us. Hope you're having a great Monday on what will be a short week for many, even shorter for others. But having a great time here talking about the 76ers and their doings of yesterday. Big news, obviously. Paul George is a 76er. I'm thinking, he can't. You know what? He's worn 24 and 13 in the NBA. He can't wear either one of them with the Sixers.
We were trying to figure this out last night.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, I was like, what will he wear? Can't wear 3.
I need it to be a good
1.
Somebody said 1, but that brings back memories of Harden. Didn't he wear 1?
Well, if everybody has those Harden jerseys, you can just put a little patch over it.
Yeah, you could do that. I don't know. I need a give me something good.
You can't reverse it. 31 is not a star player number. That's
31. Reggie Miller. That reminds me of. That'd be okay. Pelly Lindbergh was 31.
I feel like you don't see a lot of
Alice
NBA
Thompson was
31s.
No, you don't.
Not with a starting 5.
Maybe a 4. 3 plus 1. 4.
4's retired too.
Oh yeah, Dolph Shays.
Yeah.
Needs something solid. The number's big. What number were you when you played?
21.
See, that's a good solid number. Amy couldn't wait to get to the drinking age. That was the thinking behind it, I think. I
believe. Sure was. Yep, 13-year-old Amy was absolutely focused on that.
That's right. Oh, wait, what'd you wear in high school? Was it the same?
I started playing high school field hocky when I was in 8th grade.
All right.
For the love of you, I just
check out the stick on her, huh? Wow. Well, congratulations for your success.
It's not that exciting.
Wow.
I think a lot of people
I'm pretty
do
excited right now, I got to admit.
I guess I almost didn't want to say it. It's because I said 13. I thought they're going to ask me why. I was 13 playing. I'm so sorry. It was just on JV. It wasn't. Okay, stop it.
She was a star. We
stop
get it.
it.
Yeah.
Hey.
Stop it.
Listen,
Stop.
Bob's talked to a lot of great athletes in his day. Amy Fadul just happens to be the greatest.
I'm not one of them. Can you imagine?
Geez. Kenny in the Northeast has an idea of what the Sixers need to do. Kenny, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic. What's going on?
Hey, what's going on, Bob?
How you doing, buddy?
First, let me give you flowers, man. I remember, I turned 50 August 11th. I remember reading you. Then I remember you being a guest. Then I remember you becoming a host. And now I watch you. You got your own show. Yo, we not like watching the evolution of someone's life positively, man. Awesome, man. Great job, bro.
Kenny, I appreciate that. Thank you. Wow.
That's nice
I think it's just because they can't find anybody else, but I appreciate that.
Come on, man. I know you being modest, man, but we always talk hoops, man. I come out when the hoops come out, and listen, man, I love overnight. We went from being nothing to something overnight.
Well, they weren't really nothing, right, Kenny? I mean, you do have Embiid and Maxey, but
but you can't go to war with 2 bullets.
You're exactly right. You're exactly right.
But listen, a great number for Paul George would be 7, man. I love that number 7.
All right.
Lucky 7, baby. Can't go wrong. But one thing we need, and this is what beat us with New York, a relentless rebounder. I don't know who the guy is. He's somebody in the league, but we need to find a relentless. Remember there used to be Rodmans, and they used to be a dime a dozen. Now we got enough scores.
All right.
Rebounder.
They have one of the best rebounders in the league on their roster, Kenny, right?
No.
Do you throw an Andre Drummond in there maybe to play 15, 18 minutes a game, but do you start him?
I just believe you can use Drummond to give Embiid more rest than B-Ball Paul can give him. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Way a savvy vet. And, I thought they was going to experiment with B-Ball Paul and Embiid at the same time. That's another way to, get more rebounds, I guess, but it never amounted to nothing, so I guess Nurse wasn't feeling it. But we need a rebounder. But I also want to say that, man, I'm so excited for this season, man. Like, everybody I didn't buy into Paul George from the beginning. But when I seen he was 40-something from beyond the arc.
Yeah, 41% this year.
Mm-hmm.
And he played 70 games?
Yeah.
Yo, I'm all in.
All right, Kenny,
Kenny's all in.
appreciate the nice words.
Yo,
I'm glad you're all in. You are the man. Always love talking to Kenny in the Northeast. And that's weird. It just popped into my head and came out of my mouth when I said, would you pair maybe Andre Drummond and Joel Embiid at some point? Now, I was watching a highlight last night when they were talking about Drummond coming back. They had him on the floor at the same time, and they won a game or tied a game. Like they ran some kind of a play. I don't know. Yeah, I don't think that's possible. I mentioned this time last year, look, would you consider putting B-Ball Paul as the 4 and start him out there? It's just like, go get rebounds, go dive on the floor, go be energy, all that stuff. That's without the name, maybe the kind of starter you're looking for now.
The kind of 4 you, yeah, I think so. I think that description you just used as far as a guy getting rebounds, doing the extra little things, diving on the floor, just being a big energy guy, I think that could be encapsulated in any position. I think 4 would be a great option. A 3, you could also probably sneak in there too, depending on how you want to play everybody else. I think that they need that guy no matter what he looks like. I don't know who exactly that is. I'd have to kind of look a little bit deeper dive into who could be available. But I think the rebounding thing, that's the one thing that we're all going to come away with from that Knicks series is the rebounding.
Yeah.
Because they got crushed on the boards. And the second chance effort just wasn't there. But it was, I think, blown up in a big way in that Knicks series, but we all saw it throughout the season. It just wasn't there. The second chance points were never there. They always got crushed in that department. There was maybe 1 or 2 games where they would do really well, and the next 5 or 6 they just didn't. So it'll be interesting to see how much emphasis that's put on by Nick Nurse going forward, what they will want to do with that. Is it going to be a collective? Because listen, for the Knicks, everybody's a rebounder. It's not like assigned to one person. Everybody on that team rebounds.
It's an attitude.
That's how they roll.
Right.
That's what they do.
Yeah, so, maybe that's somebody you find also, just that has an attitude of, I'll go out and I'll get this. So
yeah, you need elite role players. You look at the teams that won, they had elite role players. A Derek White is an elite role player.
The Knicks beat the Celtics with pretty much all role players besides Jalen Brunson being your star.
I mean, yeah.
Right?
The Knicks had a lot of, they were almost all elite role players because their other star, and Julius Randle, was injured. So you're looking at a guy like Josh Hart. And then you could, Mikal Bridges, I hate to put the role player on him because I think it takes away from his actual talent, but he has a very good skill set for that team. And they went out and got him. Isaiah Hartenstein for them last year, an elite role player at his role. He had one role, and he crushed it. And so you're looking at what the Sixers need. They need an elite role player to fill that same role. The rebounding, the energy, the second chance effort, second chance points.
Yeah, now we're going to have Keith Pompey on at 1 o'clock. We've just added up the numbers and said, wow, can they afford, can they not afford? Keith will definitely have more insight into maybe what Daryl Morey is thinking, more knowledge of how they can work things. Like I said, pulling out that inner Howie Roseman is what Daryl Morey needs to do, and I'm sure they're all doing it now. But I don't know, good times that you have here now. This is fun.
I like that, and people seem a lot more positive. Last year at this time, because it looked like it was just going to run it back with the same Sixers roster, and the way that season ended, there was a lot of, it wasn't even apathy, it was just disdain. People were not excited about the Sixers. I think people are now going to get excited, as they should. We've talked about what do they need this whole time. What do they need? What do they need? They needed 3 guys to come together. All the big teams that win to have 3 bona fide stars. Sixers got them. They got their star to go along with their 2 other certified stars. Filling out the rest of the roster, you're starting to see it come into shape. I think there is, and there should be, a level of excitement because, and I see people, they're not going to compete with the Celtics. All right, you don't know that yet. You do not know how the season's going to shake out. But I think looking at it, you feel like they're better prepared right now, even as they're constructed, than they were last year.
And you now have someone in Nick Nurse that I feel, and I think many feel, like you give him pieces, he'll make them work. Let's not forget how
scientist.
Good. We can't forget. I was thinking of this on the drive-in today, Aim. We can't forget that last season, at the beginning of the season, how many times Joel Embiid sat a fourth quarter.
Oh,
because they were that well ahead. How many times they were just blowing out teams. How good Joel Embiid was playing last year better than the MVP season, on his way to another MVP, gets the 70-point game, and then a few games later, gets the 70-point game, comes out later on and says, yeah, I wasn't even 100% then, like maybe 80%. But there's a lot to really like, and there may have been a hesitancy before, whether it was Brett Brown, Doc Rivers, whoever, and you said, yeah, but can they figure it out? I don't think we have that with Nick Nurse. I think we have a guy that we all have confidence in will figure it out.
Yeah, you give him the pieces, and he will make it work. I mean, we kind of joke and we call him the mad scientist, but I feel like he does tend to do better with things that don't look like they should fit on paper. And I mean that like, maybe you can't do this, or maybe this guy doesn't have that in his bag, or maybe you shouldn't be able to run whatever particular set. He makes those things work. We saw that. He does have a little bit more of an unconventional way. I think the players have responded to him. I think players overall respond to him. I think he's a very well-respected coach. I think that's well documented around the league. But I feel like this is now turning into a very positive situation, starting with the head coaching, and then obviously trickling down to the 3 certified stars. I mean, you got 3 all-stars on this team right now. When's the last time you said that about a Sixer squad?
And it was cool. Last year when I sat down with Nick Nurse before the season started, or maybe it was right after the season started, I said to him, I'm noticing that a lot of different guys are bringing the ball up the floor. Why is that? What's your philosophy there? He says, well, you're always looking for mismatches. So if I see a mismatch with one of my guys right off the bat, why wouldn't I start the offense with the ball in his hands?
Which is so different.
Yeah. Well, you're going to find that with now 3 whole players. And so maybe that's the philosophy. You'll see a Paul George bringing the ball up the floor this year, maybe more times than he has done in the past. I think there's just a lot of different things that he can work with. Jason's been holding on, so let me squeeze him in before we get the break. Jason, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic. What's up, Jason?
Hey, guys. Just want to say hope you guys are having a great day.
We are. Hope you are, too.
We are. You, too.
So I live in Jersey, but I've lived in Philly most of my life, and I have the Philly mentality of tough love type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
However, I'm so sick and tired of hearing about how players do not want to come to Philly. So I kind of want to treat this like the way we did with Trey Turner and Alec Boehm. Even if it's not a success right away, show some love right away. Show the team and Paul George and Joel Embiid, get up and stand for them. Have their back. Even if they mess up, just be there for them.
Yeah, and I'll bet you, thanks, Jason, really appreciate it. I'll bet you Paul George gets a pretty nice welcoming the first time he's in Philadelphia. It's funny. When we talked about it last week to how we are reacting now, it's the next question I'm going to put out there. Have we kind of changed things just because?
Yeah.
Or are the...
Sure.
Amy has an easy answer on it, but we'll talk about that when we get back. I don't think the Sixers settled. I think they went out and got who they wanted. I think Daryl Morey had a game plan. I think there has to be more to that plan moving forward. But how did you feel? Were you one of the ones last week that was saying, Paul George, Paul George, Paul George? And if you weren't, are you happy even though you may not have wanted him before? Or maybe he wasn't first on your list before? Because it's happy times here in Sixerville. I really believe it is, with still some more work to do. We're going to have Keith Pompey on from the Inquirer at 1 o'clock. Also, I have some national things that I want to tell you and I want you to listen to. We'll do that when we get back. This is Middays, Bob Cooney, 97.5 The Fanatic. Welcome back. Middays here on this beautiful Monday. Hope you're having a good one. Hope you had a great weekend. Amy was a little bored this weekend because there's no baseball in your house.
It's the first time we haven't had a baseball game since early April.
Yeah, so we are obviously talking about the 76ers getting Paul George. You have the euphoria, whatever you want to call it. You wake up this morning, you go to your phone, you're like, oh, they did it. Unless you're like me, I rolled over at like 4:30 and grabbed my phone. I was like, oh, okay, they got it done. So euphoria hit the morning show. We've been talking about it. Really glad. You got to build up some pieces and stuff like that. But reality kind of, I don't want to say, but reality does set in. And after that happens, it comes back to some people saying, he is 34 years old. You just settled here because you didn't get LeBron James or you didn't get somebody else, or I would have rather gone a different way. So we're going to get that. So I wanted to address it. Amy, do you feel like no matter what, is this an exciting move or is it more exciting because of what was out there?
Yeah, I mean, I think the tempered excitement I understand because you're looking at all the options and you thought, okay, well, it's the best of all those options. And that's just because you get excited about that doesn't make your excitement any less than if you're just genuinely excited. But if this was next year and there was a multitude of players and there's a guy out there that's 29 years of age that you could have maxed out, yeah, I get it. But I think and then one thing that I needed to, like I said, yesterday when I saw the Andre Drummond, that was the first thing that told me, I was like, they're going after Paul George. It's happening. It's happening tonight. I don't know what time, but it is going to happen. So I started to really kind of wrap my head around it, need to come to terms with it, get my level of whatever it is, if I'm excited or if I'm not going to like it, whatever. And the more I thought about it, and I thought, we're operating here in Sixerville on a 2-year time frame. Yeah. That's my thought. And that's what I needed to focus on. I'm not looking at the 4 years. I'm not looking at a 5 years. I'm looking at 2 years. 2 years is what I'm thinking about. That's what they need to do in order to get to the Eastern Conference Finals and the NBA Finals. This is a 2-year plan. So when I'm reconciling it in my brain, I'm good with it for a 2-year deal.
Yeah.
I'll worry about years 3 and 4 later because I don't know what this team will look like in 4 years. I don't know that it's not going to look like this. So let's get on board with it in a 2 year. So that's when I think about like, all right, I'm in. Right. I'm in now.
Yeah. And it was funny. I was, all the reading that we do, all of us, you included, who are listening, you read up on things. What do other people think? Tim Bontemps, who I've known for years, who now works for ESPN, he went on and said, and we're going to get to some sound bites at the top of the hour, but he went out and said, and this is pretty much a direct quote, the Sixers have the best top 3 in the league, and it's not even close.
The not even close is...
Really? You saw that too, right?
I was like, ooh, really? I mean, I feel like the Celtics have 3, maybe 4.
Yeah. Well, they have the 2 that you build around, and the others being that Drew Holiday's 34, 35 years old or whatever. But so is Paul George. Wait. And then Kristaps Porzingis, right, who they won without a lot in the playoffs. By far, that got me. It's not even close.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of teams that have 2 really sharp, like all-star, all-NBA, like unbelievable players. The 3 is like, oh, okay, yeah. Then you're going down. You're looking at, let's look at the Nuggets. They have 2 unbelievable stars and then 2 also very, very good players.
Yeah.
Maybe because he put the 3 label on it, but the Celtics are the first one I thought of. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, and I really, my thinking with all this was, okay, you got that 3rd star, and same with you. You have to wrap your head around it. I went back and looked at highlights of Paul George this past year, numerous highlights and tape on him from this past year, and I just think that if we're going to talk fit, with Nick Nurse especially, I just think Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid are an easier fit right now, easier to find people to fit than ever before. And it might be a combination because of Nick Nurse or because of the way they play the game. I don't know. I do. I had to examine and figure it out. And I said before, Paul George, I don't know. I said that before.
Yeah.
I do feel better about it now that I've, dived in a little bit more and taken a look at it. Chris in Williamstown, though, maybe not. Chris, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic. What's going on, Chris?
Bob, Amy, great to have you on this afternoon. But like last couple callers back, congratulations on having your own show now, Bobby. So,
thanks, buddy.
We've spoken on the morning show before, Bob. So, this is not a troll when I say I'm a little bit trepidatious about this whole deal.
Nothing wrong with that at all.
KCP going to Orlando, Butler kind of being off the table. Now, I was really heavy for one Jimmy Butler back here in Philly, more than I was interested in bringing Paul George in. But now that the deal is pretty much done, are we out on Klay Thompson too?
I don't think they can afford him now.
Because he'd have to come off, he'd have to have like a veteran minimum, and I think he wants to get a bigger deal.
And that's just what about giving out the money. Like Tyrese Maxey, deserving of a contract. Please don't get me wrong, but we need it would have been interesting if you would have allocated Aaron Gordon. Why do I feel like we're becoming the Philadelphia Rockets in a certain respect?
There is that comfort blanket with Daryl Morey.
You had to have one Rocket. I think you couldn't go in off season without one Rocket.
Yeah, Harden was here last year. I mean, and now look, Tobias Harris signed a 2-year with the Pistons. Good for him. I'm just. This is. I need to see it over a while because yes, while he's a great 3-point shooter, 41%. You're talking me into this with giving me those stats too. I'm still at the end of the day looking like we've always any 3-point shooter we brought here. Well, this may be one of the best ones we could have brought in. What are we doing? We're spinning our wheels here again, bringing in another 3-point shooter, star caliber. We're just kicking the can down the road, and I'm just not seeing this being what brings them an NBA title this year or in the next year follow.
Well, it's not done yet, Chris, and thanks so much for the call. Always enjoy talking to you. It's not done yet. There's other pieces to fill. This is the big move. I will say they have brought in other 3-point shooters. They haven't brought in complete 3-point shooters like this one. Like
he's a complete player.
Right. J.J. Redick was a 3-point shooter. He didn't play defense. He couldn't,
But he healed.
Right.
That's all he did.
Off the dribble. Paul George can beat you off the dribble. Paul George wants the ball at the end of shot clocks, at the end of games. He's a different breed than what you've brought in before. So I do agree with Chris. We do have to see how it plays out. Yeah. In Nick Nurse, that gives me more confidence, though. So when we get back, I do want to hit what some of the national people had to say about this 76ers move. Also, we have some more texts. And we'd love to hear from you. 610-632-0975. Amy Fadul with me all day. Bob Cooney, middays, 97.5 The Fanatic. hour here at The Fanatic. Middays, Bob Cooney, Amy Fadul, Ray Dunn producing. Just saw a great jersey as Tyrone walked in to say hi to Ray. He's got his Kelly Green Jalen Hurts jersey on.
I love the Kelly Green.
I do too.
I like that they're going to wear him against the Cowboys too.
Oh, is that right? Jacksonville and the Cowboys?
Jacksonville and the Cowboys.
How about that? Season, yeah, I do. I love the Kelly Green. I thought it was, I just like the look of it. Midnight green. I understand the winning with the midnight green and all that stuff, but I don't know. If you had to ask me, I'd go Kelly Green.
Kelly Green.
I'd go Kelly Green all day. All day and all night. And what we're talking about all day and all night today is the Sixers signing of Paul George as he comes over for a mere 4 years and $212 million. But that's not even the biggest contract to talk about today, because there was a contract thrown out there this morning that made Amy and I laugh uncontrollably. And that's that the Detroit Pistons, in case you haven't heard, have given $52 million over 2 years to Tobias Harris. That's right. He is a Detroit Piston. What kind of reaction does he get when he comes back?
Yay. I don't know.
I mean, I'm not a booer. I've never been a booer. And if you want to boo, that's fine.
I don't know. People will be excited that he's gone, so maybe they'll cheer when he comes back.
Oh, yeah. That's how that's going to work. When they're excited to see you out the door, they're going to be real excited when you come back in. That Pistons game, talk about a game that would probably be selling tickets for like $10.
Yeah.
That's going to have some great value. Some
people are just going to go just to go.
Just to go?
Yeah. Just to go.
I don't know if it's just to go.
To go and boo.
I think it's go to let their voices be heard on the way they felt about the guy.
Video tribute?
Yes.
Oh, there's absolutely a video tribute.
Video tribute. The reaction throughout that video tribute
will just be...
might set back the narrative on Philadelphia a couple of decades.
It'll bring us right back.
Hey, the 12 o'clock hour is brought to you by Service First Heating and Air Conditioning. Get 0% financing for 72 months and a $500 rebate when you purchase a complete heating and cooling system from Service First. Learn more at ServiceFirstHVAC.com. Okay, I've been teasing this. Tim Bontemps from ESPN did come out and say Sixers have a big three, and it's the best big three in the NBA by far. I was kind of a little surprised at that. We talked about it, but I wanted you to hear from some other people. And, of course, Adrian Wojnarowski is the legend, the man, the myth. And here's what he had to say about what can happen with the Sixers beyond this signing of Paul George.
There are lots of hard choices a lot of teams are going to have to make in the NBA, especially with older players. But Philly, to tie the money up they are now in the three players, Paul George, Joel Embiid, and then Tyrese Maxey, you're going to be very limited around them in what you could do. But the Sixers had been chasing this max slot, trying to find a third star for Joel Embiid, and sold him on patience to get to this year. He's got a co-star in Tyrese Maxey, and that they were going to be big game hunting this summer. And again, the door open for Philly when the Clippers just had restraint on how far they were willing to go with Paul George.
And go they did.
Yeah.
So now you do have the big three here. As Woj said, there's limited cash now. And Amy, you've been crunching numbers all morning. I don't know.
We're running out of room.
Yeah, and we're going to have Keith Pompey on at 1 o'clock, who will have a more insider maybe information on what the Sixers' plans are moving forward. But does it make you a little nervous? We talked the numbers, and we've talked how many players and maybe who goes where. But are you a little bit nervous that, are you just going to be settling on a bunch of, I don't know.
Nervous is probably not the right word, but there is some level of like, all right, this is great. Good times. You got the guys that you wanted to get. Now, what else you got for me?
Yeah. Because
there's a hole in the starting lineup. Jared McCain doesn't answer it for me. Maybe he'll have to. You mentioned Kyle Lowry, not ideal. You don't want to have Kyle Lowry. Is that Taya?
No, that was Ricky acting like he's climbing a wall.
The Phillies are off. But yeah, so it's like there's definitely some hesitation of like, okay, this is great. This is really good. I'm getting on board. I'm excited. But what else you got for me?
Yeah.
What else you got? We're missing a piece. They're missing a starting point guard or depending on how you shake it out, or a starting four. Like there's some guy that's missing from that starting lineup, and I don't want it just to fill with just a dude, or as Jimmy Lyman calls him, just a guy.
Just a guy. He's just a guy.
Just a guy. Jag game. Just a guy.
If I were to tell you the next two significant signings were people that were playing here last year in DeAnthony Melton and Kyle Lowry, where do you go then?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of have them penciled in on my bench. Again, I don't see a starter in them. And so
Melton could start for you.
He could.
But if you're a really good team, I don't want to say they're not a really good team. I don't know how to label this.
But he would start instead of Oubre. So I have Oubre as my starter now.
Well,
I'm still missing a starter. I can't start Melton and Oubre.
I guess not.
I mean, that would be, you could.
I mean, then you have really good wing defense if you're looking at the Celtics and saying, wow, DeAnthony Melton's a really good wing defender, as is Paul George.
Who's coming off your bench?
No, well, you don't have. I don't know. You don't have anybody right now.
Concern's not. I'm not concerned because I think it will get figured out. But there is a little of okay,
it's what's next. Okay, what's next?
Give me I need a little bit more. I need a little bit more. I need a little bit more scoring off the bench. I need a little bit more ball handling in my starting lineup.
Right.
I need just one of those two, like a more traditional point guard. It would be my cup of tea. But if you're going to have Maxey there, I'm also fine with that. But give me a 4.
Yeah, the entree is great.
Yeah,
what are the sides? Because you need a couple of sides right now.
You need elite sides.
Yes. Elite sides?
Yes. I mean, if my entree is this good, I need an elite side. I can't have an also-ran of some just lumpy mashed potatoes. I need elite grilled asparagus.
Okay. I need really good.
Okay. What's a really good side for you?
I wouldn't mind having Marcus Morris in there as a go get rebounds, defend, and shove people around a little bit.
Yeah.
Something like I don't know. I don't know. This is
a broccoli side for me.
Yeah.
It's a good side.
Can I make an ask of the guy who hasn't been a 76er for even 20, not even technically yet a 76er, but Paul George?
You can, sure you can.
You
can make an ask, absolutely.
I just would like him to do something for me. He mentioned last week that, or it was last week, the week before, one of these weeks on the podcast about...
You've been internationally traveling.
It happened at some point.
Yeah.
About the Clippers and what they lost in the Harden deal. And he mentioned by name a certain man, Nico Batum. I need Paul George to pick up the phone today. Hey, man.
Just kidding.
I know the word's going around that you're not coming back, that you're not going to return to Philadelphia. Remember all those nice things I said about you? Remember all the good times? Hey, I just left L.A. I'm coming to Philadelphia now. I saw you do it. Let's hang out. You like Joel Embiid? I want to become friends with Joel Embiid. Let's all we could call it your farewell tour.
Yeah.
So let's go get us a ring.
Yeah.
We'll take you a rocking chair to every away game we go to.
It's an ask, okay? It's just a personal ask. And hey, if Batum, says, hey, man, appreciate it, no thanks, fine, whatever. Hey, right. Paul George, you mind just making that phone call today? And just, hey, Batum, old buddy, why don't you come on play another year?
That's the player.
That was the only thing yesterday, honestly, for me, where I was
that was like a big, that was a letdown.
Exactly.
That was a letdown.
Exactly. We haven't talked about that enough. It was exactly my reaction yesterday.
It was
oh, darn.
Because I thought for a chance, he did enjoy it, and I was like, maybe we'll come back.
Yeah.
No.
Huh. Well, okay. That's a good ask that you have there, Ray. Now, Brian Windhorst, he was talking about the need not only the Sixers had for Paul George, but maybe what he had for the Sixers.
Well, this was basically the two sides needed each other, and it worked out because there was really only one true max player on the market for Philly to go after when they had spent a lot of time clearing this space going back to the James Harden trade at the beginning of last season. They needed to fill that max hole. George was the number one target. When it came down to it, when the Clippers couldn't figure out a trade with the Warriors and the other teams that had cap space already had sort of dedicated it elsewhere, there was really only one place for Paul George to cleanly sign a straight max contract, and that was Philly. And it turns out that fit between the two sides is pretty good. You look at Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid, they need that wing two-way defender to compete in the Eastern Conference, and Paul George fits perfectly. And now they will go through what we expect to be a very incredibly strong I-95 corridor in the Eastern Conference with the Knicks powered up, the Celtics holding the trophy, and the Sixers hoping to join that party.
I'll tell you, as this day goes on and the more we talk about it and think about it and all, the Paul George signing I'm really even getting more fond of. I'm liking it more and more. The thing is, and Dave Dewar on our YouTube page put it perfectly, kind of watch it. They still only have 3.5 starters, he said. I guess he's including Oubre as a half starter, which is a great way of putting it. There's still work to do. So I'm as anxious about this next step this next process as I was about, what were they going to do leading up to them ultimately signing Paul George. So we'll see. There's still a lot of work to do. Mike and Delran, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic. What's up, Mike?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
How you doing?
Mike?
I'm doing great. I feel great. It's a beautiful day. I tried to stay up last night once they said that he wasn't going back to the Clippers, but I couldn't stay up till 3:30. But I'm with you. I feel better about it almost as time, every minute goes by today. It was easy. It was either LeBron James or Paul George or blow it up. We didn't really seem to have many other options. I'm glad we did that, and we didn't go after Brandon Ingram or the Lauri Markkanen. I didn't want to trade assets for guys then have to sign as well.
Yeah.
Right? You're losing all that too. As far as what's next, I just want a veteran point guard. I want a guy who's battle-tested, someone who's been in playoffs. I don't want somebody that's going to score a bunch of points a night. I don't care if he only plays 20-some minutes a night. I want somebody to lead this team of really good players. And I feel like you need that at the point guard spot. So it's exciting.
What if I told you that they have that and they think it's Kyle Lowry?
I'm okay with that. I believe it or not, I'd be okay with Kyle Lowry being our starter. And he doesn't. Again, he did just what he did last season or less. I tell you who I don't want. I don't want to count on a rookie to be a guy that plays a lot of minutes, because the first time we lose a game or we lose 4 out of 5. And I see those TikTok videos, I'm going to chuck my phone across the room. Go Birds!
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it. See, there are some people that are going to take it that way, Ray. So just be ready for it. That's all I'm saying. We're going to hear it throughout the season. And look, McCain, even though he's, 20 years old, he knows it. Everybody, you get pushback anytime you put yourself out there like that. But maybe he'll probably get tons more love than he gets pushback.
Agreed.
Yeah, so like I said, I am never, ever going to take fun away from anybody if it doesn't hurt anybody else. Let them have at it. I'm fine with it. All right, another thing, the last thing I want to get to Windhorst was he was talking about, and it all comes down to this, and it's a subject that we're never going to get away from, and probably it's going to be out there more now that you have Paul George, and that's health.
So much of it is dependent on the health of both Paul George and Joel Embiid, because these are two guys who have had injury problems in the past. What I will say is Paul George is coming off of absolutely spectacular season. He played 74 games for the Clippers. He really dedicated himself to improving his body and getting in his best shape as possible and putting together a great year last year. He never shot the ball better than last year, was dynamic all over the place, and the Clippers had this absolutely glorious 60 days last year where they were the best team in the NBA, and that's what the Sixers are hoping for. The Sixers' window to win, whether it was 3 years ago or 3 years from now, will always be dictated by how healthy Joel Embiid is in April and May. They haven't been able to get that, but now if they get that, they'll have supporting pieces that make anything possible.
Nothing is ever more obvious than this. None of this matters unless Joel Embiid is healthy.
Yeah.
And that's what it has to be.
The age-old, it's every year.
Yeah, it is.
Which is fine.
We were breaking down the season earlier, and we were like, how do you break it down? Do you go from beginning to All-Star game, beginning to the holidays? Well, no, we go from beginning till Joel Embiid's first injury. And then we talk about whether he should play in the All-Star game or not. You know what? Karate Mark's on the line. I don't want to keep him waiting because I think he might be someplace special. Karate Mark, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Bobby Bob, what's up, brother? Just walking around the streets of Bruges with my lovely wife and my mother, and I am just loving every Sixers notification coming through the phone. I have to call you guys.
Where are you now?
He's in Bruges, Brussels. Belgium.
We're in Bruges, Brussels.
Belgium.
Unbelievable.
Or in Belgium.
Or Belgium.
Yes, we got you.
Yes. I'm sorry. We were just in Brussels, now in Bruges. A couple days we head to Luxembourg. We're going to pop over in Germany, and we finish off in Amsterdam.
I was going to pop over to Germany.
Yeah, you might run into Ray. He's international. Or maybe Salciunas.
Yeah,
it's amazing all the people that I know that are traveling internationally. How do you like the moves, Mark?
Oh, my God. Well, I mean, the two drafts, I do like them as far as just like the attitudes that these kids are bringing in, the athleticism of that big kid, Adem, that they're bringing in. So the future of the two drafts, I do like them a lot. As far as bringing in Ben Gordon, that's a shooter coming off the bench. We can't surround Joe with enough shooters. Paul George, you just said it right there, 74 games last year. That's what I need out of Paul George. We get 74 games out of him. We get 70-plus out of Joe. We are right there with the Knicks and the Celtics, like, for real. We got 7 spots filled in. We got 8 more to go. What's next? Leave it up to Daryl. He's been doing his thing. Leave it up to Daryl. I'm all in. it's been great. For real. I love it.
I love it. I love that you called us, and I hope that Alicia and your mom have a great time. Go take care of them and go have some fun.
Enjoy.
Have a beer
Mom
for me,
and
Mark.
Alicia are waving. They're saying hello right now. Love you guys. We'll get back to you soon.
Love you and them, too. Thanks so much. Karate Mark checking in from Belgium.
Love it.
Huh. I got to tell you, if I'm walking around with my wife and maybe mother-in-law and stuff, if I were to say to them, hey, I'm going to call the radio station to say hi, I think my phone might wind up on a rooftop somewhere or something.
They know Mark. They know Mark would
They
do that.
do, and such a great guy. Just absolutely love it. I really am. I'm getting, like I said, more amped up about this signing as the day goes on, as we get more information and familiarize ourselves even more with Paul George, with the possibilities of what's going on. But I'm also getting more and more anxious to see what Daryl Morey has up next.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, you're looking at, so if they waive, I just keep looking at the numbers. If they waive or when they waive Paul Reed, I'm going to do that a lot. Paul Reed, it gives them that mid-level exception, that $8 million, right? So that's what they have. That's all. They only have one real kind of viable roster spot right now open. Maybe two?
Yeah, unless we're missing some. Keith Pompey's joining us at 1. He'll have, I'll tell you, it was so hard. How many phone calls like us figuring this out today we would have to make when I was on the beat and stuff to try, and you get different answers from the assistant GM to the GM and well, he told me this, and it's just crazy. And as I said, I've seen GMs walking around with books on how to do the CBA and all that stuff. It's just it's crazy. So Keith will be able to give us some more to figure things out. In the meantime, Dan in Harleysville, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic. What's up, Dan?
Hey guys, how you doing? Fun day, lots going on. Yeah, I mean, I'm happy about the signing. I mean, because there really wasn't a lot of other options for that contract. I guess what concerns me is, like you said, you only have 3.5 starters. Maybe that half is questionable even. So, I guess this is where I have an issue with the Sixers is they haven't been able to draft effectively for at least a decade. I mean, you've got Tyrese Maxey, and can you name another player that, other than Maxey and Embiid, that you've gotten that's even on your team? Or, I mean, they have Jaden Springer, who has turned into nothing. All of their players off the bench, depth pieces, are from other teams that they had to bring in. They haven't been successful at drafting effective depth pieces in the draft for a very long time. And now this is going to come back and bite them now because you need depth now behind these three high-paid players, and you don't have it, and you're searching for it.
Yeah, the first name that comes to mind, Dan, when you bring that up is Isaiah Joe. Like, there was a guy that you saw an NBA skill set that he had and was very good at it. They didn't have the patience to stick it out. And, at the time it was kind of like, that sucks. That guy looks like he's going to be a good shooter. Turns out he's a great shooter and is a viable NBA player. But you're exactly right.
You had what's-his-face, Matisse Thybulle. You had, what's another guy? There's the guy that they...
Landry Shamet you had back in the...
That's what I'm thinking of, yeah. So you had some guys that ended up being depth pieces that you could use right now that they either drafted and didn't let develop or just missed over and over and over on guys. And now at the time you need that depth, you don't have it like the Celtics do, because if you look at their roster, their depth is filled with guys they've drafted. Mm-hmm. So it's like that's the difference, and I'm worried that it's not going to be enough because you haven't made it enough with the lack of ability to do the right thing as an organization for so long.
Yeah, no, good point, Dan. I appreciate the call. And, you look at that Celtics team, what do? They seem to always pick up these guys that you say, no big deal, like whatever. And then, boom, they like Pritchard and others throughout their history. It's like, what? How's this guy doing what he's doing?
Luke Cornett.
Yeah, they just find guys that do that. So, to Dan's point, well, this is a time that you have to grow maybe some of the guys that you have. If it's a Ricky Council IV, if it's a, what's-his-face, KJ Martin. If like those guys, and I'm using them as examples more so, like if there's guys there that you have to grow maybe quicker than you thought because of the position you're in monetarily, okay, that's incumbent upon the people that are in charge of that.
Yeah, and that's their role. I mean, you're looking at the one thing, the Celtics roster is filled out with some of the guys they drafted. Their top two players they drafted, just like the Sixers. The rest of their guys, they went out and got those role players and the elite players that fit their system, they went out and got them.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, it's not like they do draft well, but the Sixers have the 2 stars that they drafted. So I don't want to just kind of mull over that and think, oh, the Celtics have done a better job in the free agency market and in the trades. That's where they've really made their way. Guys like Drew Holiday, as soon as Drew Holiday went there last year, everybody was like, we'll just book it because they will be in the finals. There was just no question in my mind that they were going to be in the finals. So I just thought that's what the Sixers need to take a page out of. And the other teams have done it too. Look at the Nuggets. When you have, obviously Michael Porter was there, but they went out and got Aaron Gordon and got him to play a completely different role than what he had done in the Magic. And I think that's where you have to make your way. Now they've got these 3 stars. They've got the big 3. Who else is going to be the ones to contribute? And I think your point is really good in the fact that you can go out and get guys that are specialists that do maybe 1 or 2 things really well and don't worry about them to score. You're going to be fine in the scoring department.
Yeah.
You're going to be A-okay there. You got 3 guys that can score aplenty. Get you 30 points on any given night, all of them. The other stuff, that's where the Sixers lacked. When you really have to match up with the Knicks and the Celtics, and it's crazy that the Knicks are in that conversation, but they are. They were last year, now they are even more so. So that's where you're really looking. That's where you have to really kind of fine-tune this roster. And so when you're looking at what's left as far as room-wise, you're thinking, okay, maybe a veteran minimum doesn't count against your salary cap, right? But that's not a guy that you can. Is that a guy that you can rely on to be your starter? A guy that you can rely on for 30 minutes a game? Probably not.
Yeah, and it's I remember when they got Patrick Beverley. You remember the offseason before they got him, and Joel Embiid and others were saying, we need that dog just like him. And then Moore's like, oh, okay, well then I'll go out and get him. At that time, I was like, you have a lot of people down in your G League and on your bench that you're growing. Grow somebody into a dog defender,
right?
Because I think you can do that. I can't grow somebody maybe into an elite shooter or something. I can grow somebody into an attitude of I'm going to be in your face defensively, and I'm going to try to go get rebounds, and I'm going to be that guy. I just never understood. You don't have to go out and get it. Grow that
guy, and tell him you want to play. This is what you're going to do.
Yeah,
this is how you're going to be.
This is the NBA.
This is how we roll here.
Yeah.
Look at what Thibodeau does up there.
Yeah.
They all play that way.
Exactly. It's funny. I thought of this the other day, too. I read a Springsteen book years back, right? And when Clarence Clement, his saxophonist, died, a guy that's in his band dies, he's looking to replace him. Well, he's going to replace him with with Clarence Clemens' nephew, right? Brings him in, Springsteen does, and the guy's not ready. Doesn't know what he's supposed to be playing, all this. And Springsteen pulled him aside and he says this in the book. He's like, dude, I'm Bruce Springsteen. We have a real deal. You can have your life here set up. What are you doing? And I thought about it. I equated it to sports when I read it. And by the way, Brett Brown borrowed that book from me and never gave it back.
I know.
But anyway.
Sorry.
I equated that to sports. It's like, hey, son, you're in the NFL, NBA, NHL, Major League Baseball. You do whatever you have to do in order to stay here. All right, what we have to do now is take a quick break. When we get back, we have some more sounds from national people and from you about what you think about the Paul George signing and maybe what more do you want. 610-632-0975. This is Middays, Bob Cooney, 97.5 The Fanatic. Welcome back. Middays here. 12:30, a little bit after on this beautiful Monday. Hope you're having a great day. A lot of vibes going on around here.
Good vibes.
Yeah, good
Excited
vibes, excited vibes. Ray, they're trying to mess with him. Couldn't get him. What the hell's going on around here?
What? Like, did you guys have anything going on outside of here? I come back for 2.5 hours and already they're starting to mess with me. What did you guys do last week? Like, I feel like half of the outside of the studio thing is just messing with me.
We did squash the beef with Sil.
We did some behind your back.
Sorry.
That's a knife in the back right there.
Not really.
Well,
we didn't justify the two of yours' beef when we talked it out. So we said, Silvana, we will wipe away the beef between you and Ray to be included on our whole show. If there is beef, riff, however you want to label it, between the two of you, you two can have that little beef riff, however you want to call it. We, Amy and I, have removed ourselves. So we give
that's all it was.
Love to you and love to Silvana also. Okay?
That's fine. Yeah,
so
I mean,
we weren't stabbing you in the back, in all honesty.
I've only been around now for a couple hours, so there's no real beef right now. I'm pretty happy.
Now, they tried to get you.
Yeah, I mean, that was lame. That was incredibly lame. Apparently, Dylan went out and spent $1,000 on these mini birds and then just lined up the mini birds. And, Bob, you're not a great actor. You told me to go out there because you need to talk. And I was like, yeah, there's no chance that he actually wants to talk to me. They're waiting out there for me.
If they're stupid enough to try to get me involved with that, knowing that I'm not good at it, then I couldn't even put on a face. I should have had Amy say to you, can I ask you a question? But I didn't think that was going to get you. There was just way too much there. And we also had our 12:30 conversation on the break with Tyrone, which is always very, very spirited and fun.
Always.
And, make sure, so stay tuned for best show ever. Ricky's here, too. Why is he in what you call
it looks like
today?
I don't think they're scrubs, but it does
I think he's in scrubs.
No, it's just sweatpants and a T-shirt, but they match. So it's like the similar color, so it does look like scrubs.
I think he just got out of the operating room. I think he just got his shoulder done and came straight here. Or something like that, maybe a
Dr. Metallica?
Yeah. No, he was patient Metallica, but they gave him scrubs anyway. Yeah, so all talk about the Paul George signing today. I think everybody's pretty much on board. Love it. They did what they had to do. And there are some people questioning it on our YouTube page like, well, what did he do? He went out and did the obvious. Okay, but that's fine.
He needed to do something.
But if you didn't do the obvious, you're in a really bad spot right now. As Keith Pompey said on NBA TV last night before they signed Paul George, he said if they don't do that, they're in real trouble. You could have been there. So I'm not going to say for no other reason, but for that reason also, you're in a good spot.
Yeah.
It's a good place to be. So Stan in Drexel Hill wants to talk about it. Stan, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Hey, Bob, Amy. Listen, big fan. Amy, I've been watching you on TV for a while, so I'm happy to hear you. Same thing when I said to Dee when she started doing this. Man, you guys are doing a great job.
Thanks, Stan.
97 actually, added another quality piece to their rotation, as I like to say.
Thank you, buddy.
So, yeah, of course, yeah. And Bob, obviously, you already know. I talk to you a lot. You've been doing your thing, holding it down. I'm ecstatic, right? A lot of the fans who have had trepidations, my biggest issue isn't the what ifs. It's there's no clear-cut solution that they provide for you, right? They tell you not to do this, but they don't tell you, okay, well, what's the backup plan? Who's coming in here that's going to make you a title contender? Because I'm telling you right now, Paul George as a player was the best option outside of LeBron James, who we knew we weren't getting. That's the best player who was available. That you look at it from a quality standpoint, that's the guy who's going to push you closer to it. So my question was always, well, who's the other guys that are going to get you there? And, of course, you can bring me trades, but that takes two to tango, right? Because you can say you want a Larry Marketing, you want a Mikal Bridges, you want a Caruso, those guys. And you saw what it took to get guys, right? And it's like the other team has to say yes to it, right? So Paul George, that was the big deal, was the fact that you can get this man without giving up assets to allow you to then use those assets to acquire other players, And real quick, Bob, you brought up Isaiah Joe and some of the other guys. My biggest problem was, even with Matisse Thybulle, I think, again, that goes down to coaching, because I think that was more of a Doc Rivers not playing certain guys.
You're exactly right, Stan. He didn't like to use young players, right?
I mean? Yeah. He just doesn't. I mean, you saw, like, Paul Reed probably could have been a lot further on in his growth had he gotten experience instead of being behind DeAndre Jordan. Like, that was kind of mind-boggling to me. So, and this is not an indictment on him, but this is just me saying, like,
sure.
There's certain guys, I feel confident with Nick Nurse. I watched Ricky Council grow, and I expect another growth spurt from him going into next season. Like, I like having that as a developmental guy who also knows his X's and O's. So, and lastly, a guy who I just read that apparently might not even get the mid-level, so you might be able to get him from the vet men, might be Gary Trent Jr.
Yeah, I saw that you said that.
There,
Stan, thanks.
39% from three.
Yeah, very good outside. Thanks for the call. Really appreciate it. He made $18.5 million last year with the Toronto Raptors, but as Stan said, the way things are falling, and Tyrone brought up a great point. There's a lot of teams up against it, and that bodes well for the 76ers. Yeah. So we'll see how this plays out. I think it's really interesting about what's going on, how they're going to fill out the rest of this roster. I don't know. I just don't know.
I think it bodes well for you that, hey, you brought in Paul George. Like, if everyone else is up against it and guys are picking, hey, where am I going to go? Who am I going to play with? Like, you brought in a star, and if they have the money to give you kind of what you want or what this market is going to give you, all right, I get to play alongside Paul George, Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey.
Yeah.
And guess what? If you're a guy who won ring chase, sure, that. But if you're a guy who's like, yeah, man, I really just don't want to be. No one's going to throw the blame on you if this team doesn't win. Like, at this point, you've got it. Like, if you've got that, if you don't have that type of mentality in you, like, I think everyone right now is going to look at this team. Paul George, Joel Embiid, they're guys that need to prove something. If you're a guy that needs to prove something, you want a little bit of layer of protection here, you've got it in Paul George and Joel Embiid, because those are the first two names that people are going to bring up, whether this team does well or doesn't. So I think you've got the attraction of a place now where Paul George chose to come to Philadelphia. Yeah, they gave him the 4th year. That's a big reason why. Like, we were talking earlier about who you brought into that room. The most important thing you brought into that room was the piece of paper that said there's 4 years on this contract. Like, he wanted that. They gave him that. Good on them. If that's the guy you wanted, you did what he wanted. You got him in the room. Now that you have him, he's now in the meeting on your side of things when you sit down to the table with anyone else. Mm-hmm. So that gives you a nice level of credibility of, like, all right, this is really where we're trying to build this thing out. Do you want to go be a part of this? And I think that's a big sell for free agents that, okay, everyone's up against it. You're going to get legitimate minutes here because, again, they're still trying to build out roster, and you're going to be playing with 3 stars, and the attention on you is going to be a little bit less because Paul George and Joel Embiid are past 30, and they've got something to prove. So you want to come prove it with them? Feel free.
And it's funny. All the talk today is obviously about Paul George. And, that's where it is. That's where everything is going. But Brian Windhorst last night said something that was pretty cool, and I think we're all in agreement with.
Look, Paul George is the headline, but them locking down Kelly Oubre last night after Paul George committed. Oubre had a spectacular season last year for them. There were other teams interested in him, making sure they bring him back. Also, an excellent quality two-way wing player. So they addressed just like New York, made sure they got Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby. Getting the combo of Kelly Oubre and Paul George is going to help in the struggle, because it will be a struggle to deal with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum.
It's funny. When we look at Kelly Oubre, and we see the 15.5 points, I think we look, or as much look at the joyousness that he also brought, right, Aim?
Right.
Like the smile, the having Nick Nurse's back on an argument, the kind of teammate that he appears to be. And I know my friend Maria from Collingswood, who is in love with Kelly Oubre, is awfully happy that he's back. She thinks he's the most handsome man she's ever seen, besides her husband. But or do we even underrate it a little bit? Like, you hear the likes of Brian Windhorst going off about how important that was. Imagine if they didn't do that. Imagine if we were sitting here today and there wasn't a Kelly Oubre on this roster right now.
It'd be totally different. I mean, that was one of the ones when we talked about their internal free agents, who would you want them? And I think we were all resounding agreement. It was Kelly Oubre. And I still look at that deal that he got, and then I look at some of the crazy deals that are out there, and I think, when I first questioned to him, did you take a discount? Did you think you could get more from another team?
Yeah.
And that goes to Ray's point of what the Sixers are building and why this is going to be more of a destination than I think it has been in the past. I never really liked that people said this wasn't where people wanted to go. I never believed that. But I think that it is a more appealing destination now with Paul George here. I think Kelly Oubre would have been in regardless. I think he really did enjoy wholeheartedly his role here, the way he played, playing under Nick Nurse, playing with Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey. I feel like he really did, adapt well. and I know he bet on himself with a 1-year contract, and he won. I would be interested to see if they fielded calls to get him closer to $10 or $11 million, because I think that when you look at the market right now, there's a guy like Kelly Oubre. You're telling me he couldn't have gotten 10 or 11 million?
Oh, yeah.
But would it have been for a team that he didn't want to play for or start again, or that wouldn't have been a contending team?
Like Detroit came calling.
Detroit needs to just spend. You have to spend money in the NBA. They don't let you just pay no one. So if you're just driving around and you have a decent jump shot, you should just call Detroit. Maybe they'll give you $100.
Like Detroit had to spend money. I would love to be that guy that they say, you know what? We want you to play for us for 2 years because we have a whole bunch of money to give away. Do you mind taking $26 million a year, Tobias Harris?
Yeah.
And he says,
you have to play for Detroit.
26? Hold on a second. Oh, my God. Somebody's offering me 26. Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
I guess. Yeah, no problem.
The best part of that deal?
Only 2 years? You only want 2 years? All right, we'll go 2. I would have preferred 3, but we'll go 2. Thanks a lot. Has to hang up, and he and his father are in the car.
That's
his
the
agent,
thing.
and they're like,
his father is his agent. Like, talk about staying in the family.
It's awesome. So, okay.
I love it.
Congratulations to him.
Did it.
No big deal. He's getting $26 million a year, same as Bryce Harper. When you put it that way, it is just a little bit different. All right, when we get back, we have some text still to get to about what more do you want the 76ers to do. Everybody's happy with this, but they're not done yet. So what more do they have to do? What more do you want them to do? We will get to those texts. Or if you want to let us know, 610-632-0975. You know we love talking to you also. This is Middays. Bob Cooney, 97.5 The Fanatic. Welcome back. Lots of basketball, contract, money talk today as the Sixers signed Paul George. And during the break, Tyrone came in. I'm not real good at looking at my phone during the show. Like, I'm always looking different stuff up, so my alerts I don't really see. But the Boston Celtics and guard Derek White have agreed on a 4-year, ready for this, $125.9 million contract. Derek White is getting $31 million a year.
31.475.
Deal includes a player option, huge offseason priority for the champs. So there you go. A lot of people getting a lot of money, Aim.
So we said it earlier. The contracts that are being handed out for the players, good for them. You know, good for the Isaiah Hartenstein making $29 million a year. Good for Isaiah Joe making $12 million a year after being waived by the Sixers. Good for Tobias Harris making $26 million a year. Derek White, an elite role player. Don't get me wrong. $31.5 million.
Yeah.
What? And Ty pointed out, so for those of you who don't know, and it is a very complicated thing.
The
with
second apron, yeah.
Yeah, the first apron, the second apron, as far as like how you can spend and what you can spend up to with the luxury tax and whatever nonsense. Second apron is basically, that's the hard limit. We'll let you go over. We'll let you go over a little bit more, but we're not going to let you go over this. It's not like Major League Baseball where it's just a free-for-all. It looks like it right now, though, to be honest. Like, it looks like a free-for-all.
Yeah.
Because these guys are having these enormous contracts, but they're going to be at the second apron, which means they'd have to get very creative, at the buyout deadline, the trade deadline, things like this for the upcoming season. But they're the Celtics, and they're just trying to lock up their guys that just won them a title.
Yes, they are. And Brad Stevens and company up in the higher up offices in Boston, they do an unbelievable job when it comes to all of that stuff. So keep an eye on that. Dr. Scott in Doylestown, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic. What's up, Doctor?
Hello, how are you?
Well, and you?
I'm doing good. So I'm confused by a couple things. Number one, who's going to be our starting four?
It's a question we've put out there all morning, yes.
I have it blank space.
Okay, and the second question, well, we have to get someone who doesn't demand the ball, can rebound, and I guess is an unselfish player because there's not enough ball to go around. Why did we sign Eric Gordon? Are we getting rid of Melton? Is he there in case Melton's back hurts?
Eric Gordon's basically free. He's a free player, just so you know. He doesn't count against your salary cap.
Yeah, so a 35-year-old guy that was a really, really good shooter and someone who Daryl Morey is familiar with.
Yeah, I think that's why.
So how is that going to play out? Are they going to have Oubre at the 2 because he can defend and he can shoot?
Well,
at the 1?
Yeah, I don't see this. This all has to play out, right? So they're not done yet. They're not close to being done yet. They only really have 3.5 starters on this roster right now. So in order to say who's starting and who's playing where, I think we're going to have to wait, a few days, even maybe more, to find that out.
Okay, well, those were my questions. I mean, I love the Sixers, and I'm so excited, but I was just confused by, how things are going to line up, so to speak.
So I have to ask you, what kind of doctor are you?
I'm a chiropractor and a physical therapist.
Oh, okay. All right. I appreciate. I might have to come see you, Dr. Scott, because I got. Thanks for the call. I didn't want to sound mean, but I was going to ask Dr. Scott, but I didn't have the guts to. Couldn't you just call and say it was Scott from Doylestown? Do you have to say you're Dr. Scott? Do doctors, get elevated? Like, I have to let the listening audience know I'm a doctor, or maybe that's just. Is Dr. Scott a regular? I don't know, Ray.
I
don't know. I think
you're
just going by Dr. Scott.
Don't get me involved in this.
Well, I'm giving you a look of you just said I need a doctor, and now you're going to go after the doctor. I mean,
I'm not going after him. I'm just saying, what in your mind makes you say, oh, hey, it's Dr. Scott?
Well, if you're a doctor, maybe you would.
If I was calling somebody, I wouldn't be like, oh, it's Radio Bob.
Dr. John?
Yeah, but
it's Fireman Jim.
How much school you go through at some point, all those papers got to add up to something.
Have to have that gives you the... When you become a doctor, is there something you sign that gives you the right that you have to address yourself as Dr. Scott?
Yes.
So that the masses know?
I think the degree does that for you. That's the thing you sign.
Okay. All right, question answered then.
Doctor, yeah.
I had a question. I wasn't putting anyone down. It was a question.
It seemed pretty pointed.
A little bit. Listen here, Dr. Scott. You call anytime, okay?
Oh, of course. Oh, my God. Don't even put that in the realm of that I don't want to talk to
Sundays
him.
3 to 6. Don't worry, Dr. Scott. I'll take your phone
Ray's
call.
got you.
can
I
talk
got
to
to
me.
tell you, if I was a doctor, I don't think I'm running around telling everybody, like, I'm a doctor.
Maybe Sean knows him. Maybe Sean back there was like, Scott, you're being too modest. We got to throw the doctor on there.
It's funny I'm saying this because if I have some friends or family listening, I do have a niece that is a doctor. And my God, she has no problem telling everybody 600 times a day that she's a doctor. So maybe there is something in there. I don't know. All right. No, that was just a question, Aim.
You seem kind of fired up about it.
Yeah, I mean, this is the medical
fired.
profession here.
Yeah.
Listen,
I'm very
doctors,
happy.
I am pro you. I want you to know you can
I'm not
use the
saying I'm
doctor.
anti. You know, you guys, both of you are asses. Harvey in Mount Airy. You're on 97.5
What
The
up,
Fanatic.
Harvey?
What's up, Harv?
Hey, how you doing there?
What do you
Hey,
do
Harv.
for a living, Harv? I'm
Hey, enjoy your show.
Thank you, buddy.
Yeah, I think you guys have got a knockout show. And I can't talk long, but I'm a basketball junkie. I think you and Amy are really good.
Thank you.
Thank you, bud.
In basketball. But I like the Sixers move. I didn't think I would like it all that much at first, but I think they basically did everything I wanted them to do. They got a backup for Embiid. I like Paul George game. Only thing I questioned was his age, but I think he still has a little bit left in the tank. But I heard you saying earlier, Bob, the Sixers may need and I think they need another guard to go with Maxey, because I still don't, as good as Maxey is, I don't think he's really a point guard. I think he's maybe a little less than a combo guard. And I heard some callers say Marcus Smart. I would love that move.
Interesting.
But I think I might have heard you say that they can't afford him or the money doesn't match.
It doesn't right now.
Yeah, Daryl Morey would have to work some magic, Harvey, in order for that to come about. But
If that move came out, I think they would really be. I think they would really be in the mix to compete with Boston and New York.
That's a really interesting name.
I like that name. Plus he plays D, and with Boston,
he plays D.
That's kind of all he does, and does very well.
Yeah, and bring in another guy that Embiid used to hate. Why not? He didn't like Drummond before, and now he can bring in Marcus Smart. Harvey, thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. The one thing that Harvey said was, I'm not saying because of skill is why I don't want Tyrese Maxey at the point guard. I don't want him to have that put upon him.
I think he plays better off.
Yeah, like Tyrese, go. You go. I don't want to have to. You don't have to. Like direct out there. You just
go do you.
You just go do you.
You do you,
exactly.
guy.
You do you, doctor.
Fella.
All right, when we get back, we're gonna have Keith Pompey. Hey, Keith Pompey from the Inquirer is going to be joining us at 1 o'clock. Maybe he'll have a whole bunch of answers that Amy and I have not been able to come up with yet. This is Middays, Dr. Bob, 97.5 The Fanatic. Welcome back, 1 o'clock hour, as we have reaction all day today as to what happened with the Sixers early this morning as they signed Paul George to a 4-year, $212 million contract. And on the Comcast Business Hotline is someone that makes just about that same amount of money, $212 million over 4 years, and that is Keith Pompey with the Philadelphia Inquirer. Keith, how you doing today, buddy?
Man, stop lying. I don't even make 212 nickels over 5 years.
You do it for the love of the game, brother. I was there. I know what you're doing. So, Keith, reaction. First of all, I watched you on NBA TV last night. Great job there. We kind of thought that something like this had to happen for the Sixers. So, just kind of your outlier of reaction to them getting Paul George.
You know, it was weird. As the night went on, when it finally happened, I was like, about time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But, you know what, I think when we I know there's going to be certain people who are saying he's 34 years old, his injury history, look at his playoff performances. But he was by far the best guy that you could get. You know what I mean? And what I mean by that is I felt like it was only 3 people that you can get that can help this team the way that he can. That's Jimmy Butler and that's LeBron James. You weren't getting them. And at this free agency, he was by far the best you can get. And I do think that he can play well with Maxey and Embiid. You know, you look at him, he's a wing. A great defender. You know, he can make shots. He can handle the ball a little bit. He can create. But at the same time, the thing is, he can also play off a teammate. He's used to playing with, Hall of Fame type, teammates. So I feel like it shouldn't be a problem playing with Embiid, deferring to Embiid, and it shouldn't be a problem playing with Maxey. I also believe that his presence, because you have to keep him honest, his presence is going to eliminate how teams used to blitz Maxey in the fourth quarter, especially in games Embiid didn't play. Because if you blitz Maxey, he'll dish the ball to him, and then you're going to be in trouble, or it's going to open them up for other things. So I think that he's a great fit for the 76ers. I do.
Yeah, I love the point about blitzing Maxey because you saw what the Knicks were able to do, and it really took him out of his offensive rhythm for a large chunk of that series. So that is another big positive. But there's obviously still work to be done, Keith, when you're looking at this roster as it's currently constructed. We all know about, we're all looking at things like the first apron and the second apron and things dealing with the salary cap. But going forward, you're looking at starters, Paul George, Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid. I've penciled in Kelly Oubre. To me, that would leave either a 4 that's out there if you have Maxey at the 1 or a 1. Who do you see them being able to get to fill out that starting roster spot?
And that's a tough one right there, right?
Yeah.
Because of when we talk about the money they have, and people who are going to be available and who want to come. But me personally, when the news came out that Nico Batum wasn't coming back, I was like, wow, that's a hurt piece to me because when you look at a guy like Nico. And to me, I'm still going to try to go get him, right? But when you look at a guy like Nico, it's one of those things where he's the perfect fit for them because he doesn't need the ball. Yep. He does the dirty things. So for me, I feel like what the Sixers need to do is they need to do some scouting or something, and you got to come out with that same type of person because, Paul, Embiid, Maxey are going to be the leading scorers, right? They're going to be the 3 leading scorers. They're going to get most of the points. What you need someone who's just going to be, I want to rebound. I want to set picks. I want to defend. I want to hit corner threes. So, I can't put my name on. I got to look at it and see who else is out there because I was just focused on the Sixers yesterday. But that's what they need. They need a Nico Batum type of guy, an unheralded guy who his teammates love.
We're talking with Keith Pompey on the Comcast Business Hotline from the Philadelphia Inquirer. Keith, without specifics and exactly, just generally, What kind of money do they have to spend right now? Like, people are, throwing 100 names at us today of players that they want, but what kind of money are we talking as far as exemptions and all that stuff?
Well, the thing is about it, they have a little bit. I mean, I think that with their max, the good thing is they were able to sign Kelly Oubre to the mid-level exception. So what that did is, they were able to. I mean, they had to sign Drummond to the $5 million slot. Whatever.
Love that deal.
But I love that deal a lot. So they have a lot of minimums. But see, the one thing is they still have flexibility, because I don't think you're going to get rid of this one guy, and I'm talking about Ricky Council IV. But I hate to say it, but they have flexibility to do something possibly with Paul Reed, right? Like, if you can get rid of him, and then you can go out there and get another player who can really help you. But for the most part, let's be real, they're kind of strapped a little bit right now. You know what I mean? So if I'm the Sixers, I got to think long and hard about what I want to do, and then you have to think and I love Paul, I really do. But then you look at the second-round pick they got, Bona, and you say, is he Paul Reed? I mean, is he, because right now you don't have a power forward. You don't have a backup point guard, right? But you have 4 centers. So they have to decide what they want to do. And I hate to say it, he has a great tradable contract. He has a great contract that you can waive and create more cap space. So that's what it is. But they don't have a lot of money, no.
Yeah, you mentioned needing a backup point guard. And when we were doing these kind of exercises in the days leading up to yesterday, it was, what do you do with Kyle Lowry? He was a guy that you would hope that you could get here on a veteran minimum, so it wouldn't count against your salary cap. Obviously, he's up there in age, but a backup point guard, he would fill that role. What are the chances Kyle Lowry is back in a Sixers uniform, you think, Keith?
You know what? I think if somebody offers Kyle some money and kind of like, hey, Kyle, we want you to come here, I like what they're doing to Chris Paul. And I don't know if he'll get $11 million or anything like that, but if they give him maybe a mid-level or something like that and say, come here, we want you to run the team, I think that Kyle was probably gone, right? Yeah. But I think that, outside of that, I think it would be great for him to come back. I think the Sixers have a chance. And the reason why I'm saying that is because, they can look at it like, look, Kyle, it's not like you could play back-to-backs, you could play extended minutes, but you'll have a role here. You're from Philly, Nick Nurse, you can be like the coach on the floor, the coach in the locker room, so to speak. And I felt like not just Tyrese, but I felt like Cam Payne learned a lot from him in this short period of time here. That's all they did. They raved over him. And I feel like that Kyle can have an asset in that role. And I don't know how much he can continue to bring on the floor. You know what I mean? But if you already have another point guard that you deem a backup guy and you just need another spot, you got a spot for someone who can be a leader, yeah, I can see that. You know what I mean? I can see that. But again, that's a minimum salary type job. And, guys want to play. And I feel like if he can get a better role, I feel like he'll probably take a better role because, let's face it, they all want to play and they all still think they can play.
Keith, when you talk about bringing guys in, I always do this. There's somebody in the back of my mind that I say, man, I'd really like to see this. Don't know if they're going to do it, but I think I'd really like to see it. Mine is Marcus Morris right now. Do you have somebody in your mind, there's somebody, I was looking about him maybe, that the Sixers might be looking at?
Marcus, the one guy who I really like, who I would love to see here, but I don't know if they can afford him, the one dude that I really would like to see here, via trade or whatever you have, for instance, Bobby Portis, right?
Oh, okay.
He's the type of guy. Well, and because, know what it is? I feel like, he's the type of dude who knows his role. He doesn't try to, step out of his role. But when you have a guy like Maxey and you have Embiid and Paul George, you need a guy that's on that floor that's a tough SOB, so to speak, that no one's going to mess with. And that's kind of like the Marcus Morris role, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like he's bigger and he's stronger, right? Marcus Morris would be a great type of guy, but does he really want to come back here knowing that they traded him after he got the Chiefs?
Yeah, but he seemed so happy when he was here.
Yeah.
Oh, he was.
Yeah, he did not like that trade, though.
He was elated, but it's like it's kind of like you got the key to the city, and 3 weeks later it's like they're shipping you to Indiana, and then Indiana flipped you to the Spurs, but he would be a great one. I really like Marcus Morris, though.
Yeah, that's a good name. And the thing is, they're going to have to get pretty creative. And I think that I know you've talked about it as far as trying to make these moves, whether it's just moving on from the Paul Reed contract and opening up that money, or signing him and then trading him. I think that those are questions that have probably been asked over the last 24 hours quite a bit, as far as what the Sixers can do, because they are missing that spot, whether it is the 4 or if it is the point guard. And then you have to fill out the rest of the bench, and you can't just have a bunch of veteran minimums out there. You need actual viable players. The depth, you don't worry about until later, but you need it until then. We haven't really talked about the Andre Drummond, but that seemed like that was such a foregone conclusion that when it happened, I like that Andre Drummond broke it before everybody else. He said he liked Philly cheese, wants a Philly cheesesteak, and then about a minute later, we all saw everybody having it. But I think that is probably the move that was the biggest of I can't imagine someone out there right now was like, oh no, I wanted a different, you know what I mean? Like he was the best backup Joel Embiid's ever had, and they're going to run it back with him.
Yeah, and not only that, the thing about the Paul George thing is great. Like, you need a Paul George to help you catapult you to one of the best teams in the East, right? But you also need a Drummond to be that Band-Aid, right? Because, or the security blanket. Because, Embiid, love him to death, but, you need somebody just in case if he gets injured again. And not only that, bigger than his injury history is when he comes off the floor for the start of the second quarter. And then next thing you know, the other team is having a track meet, racing to the rim, so to speak, and you don't have anybody to rim protect, and the other team is just having a layup, a rebounding drill. So I feel like when you have a guy like Drummond, he does all those great things, right? And then when Embiid misses games, you look at it and you feel, even though they're different types of players, he's not going to get, the 30 points and anything like that. But you feel confident as a coach that, look, okay, we're going to turn this into the Tyrese Maxey, Paul George game. Drummond's going to be setting picks. He's going to be grabbing rebounds. He's going to be protecting the rim, running the floor, having a good time. So, you know what I mean? To me, as big as Paul George is, and that was huge. But I felt like the last couple of years, especially last year in the playoffs, we saw how the Sixers struggled in the 9 Embiid minutes. Mm-hmm. So getting this guy was vital.
Keith, last question for you here. Obviously, when moves are made, you're looking at catching someone ahead of you. In this case, it's the Boston Celtics. It's the team that beat in the playoffs, the New York Knicks. How much gap was closed by the Sixers, in your eyes, on those two teams with this move?
You know what? I think I think they closed a lot of gap on with those two teams. But you know what? I keep going back and forth with the Knicks, and the reason why I do it is because I think right now that the Knicks are a little bit deeper than them. Like, they have younger players, and you look at it, they go 9 deep. And when you look at the Sixers, I'm just trying to figure out who's going to be on their bench, who's going to be the backup point guard, and who's going to be the power forward. But again, do I think they can beat the Knicks? Yeah, I do. But I do believe that the Boston Celtics are a step ahead, are still a level ahead of everyone else. I think that they're a good team. Don't get me wrong. I think the Knicks have the great defenders. They have Mikal Bridges. They have OG. They have Brunson. They have a lot of different guys who can do different things. But I just feel like that, that the Boston Celtics, at least for another 2 years, are going to be the class of the NBA.
Well, Keith, want to thank you so much for taking a couple of minutes with us today. Know you're super busy, working on hardly any sleep. So we appreciate it, and we will be in touch with you in the future.
Good stuff, Keith.
All right, man. And when you get that $212 million contract, just give me $50 million. I'm good.
Yeah, no
I
big
got
deal.
you. 50 million nickels is on the table. Keith, thanks so much. Appreciate you, brother. Always have. Keith Pompey joining us from the Inquirer, Inquirer.com. Interesting stuff. Like, there's a guy that's in it every day, and as far as the next moves, he doesn't know either. Like, it's a mystery. Daryl Morey, he's got a lot of things that he has to still do. We'll see how it all plays out. All right, we got some texts, Ray, that you were talking about, one concerning a doctor.
Yeah, we did get a text with regards to Dr. Father Sean wondering if he should just call in as Sean now.
Oh, wow. That's a strong reply. Thank you, Father Sean. You can't say, what do you say to that? You can't respond to Father Sean.
I did have a friend that texted in, my wife is a doctor and in capital letters never introduces herself as doctor. And I said, that's because she's cool.
Oh, wow.
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 I'm not saying Dr. Scott isn't cool.
That's what you just said. That's what you just implied.
I did not.
That's
Maybe
exactly what you
said. And she's cool. I'm just saying.
No, you said that's
why. Yeah, you said that's because she's cool.
You could have.
She is cool. That's all. Dr. Scott could be very cool, too. I don't know.
I'm here to stand up for Dr. Scott's honor.
Or Dr. Scott.
Dr. Scott,
Dr.
I love
Scott
you.
is catching strays, and he's not even on the phone anymore.
Well, I did. Why? I love him. What are you saying? Just because I thought it was funny that he refers to himself as... Now, my friend Andrea Roccabaldo, Rock's wife, is getting her doctorate.
You going to call her a doctor?
I don't know. Is she, from now on, on our group text, do I have to say, hey, Dr. Andrea, we're thinking of going out to dinner, tomorrow night. You guys in? Like, what do we do?
What if you meet a person like that?
I am not putting down. I am asking. I want to learn what proper etiquette is.
Well, it's how they introduce themselves. So if they introduce themselves as Dr. Scott or Dr. Bob or whatever their name is, then yes, that's how you talk to them.
Now, stop. It's fun. You guys pick on me and everything. That's great. That's
factual.
Cool. Listen to me, seriously, and give honest answers, I beg you. You're at a party, and you meet somebody for the first time, and they come over and call themselves, hey, I'm Dr. Ray. You cannot lie to me and say you're not rolling an eye a little bit.
I would ask what kind of doctor, probably. Just to curiosity. And then maybe I would make my assumptions from there. If I would continue that.
Okay, he's a brain surgeon.
Oh my God, I would absolutely calling him doctor.
Me.
Yeah, 1,000%.
1,000%.
Oh, stop. You guys are such liars. There's no way you're not rolling your eye when somebody introduces yourself with a beer in their hand and calls himself, oh yeah, hey, how you doing, Amy? I'm Dr. Brian. Seriously? You guys are lying on your faces to me right now.
That is not true at all.
Yeah, I don't know.
I got to say, I'm way older than Ray. I'm kidding.
Wow.
It was a joke. I'm older than you guys. I have never, in a social setting, had someone come up to me and introduce themselves as Dr. Smutch and Smutch. Really?
Yeah, and I will say,
and you
in your
rolled your
defense, I was kind of like, that's odd.
That's all I'm
saying. I mean, let's be clear here. There's not a lot of social settings in which I would be in, age-appropriate social settings, where doctors would be introduced.
Right.
So, that's just the truth of it. If there's someone my age who's a doctor, I got a lot of questions. I'll be honest. I'll be very intrigued by that person because they got their
name is
quite
Doogie
quick.
Howser.
Yeah, I don't think you're meeting doctors at SIPs. Or you could be. They're just going to be a little bit older than you.
That's okay. Right, you were just in Aruba, okay? Say you were sitting at the bar.
Comes back to my vacation. Everything comes back to my vacation.
It all comes back to you because we live vicariously through you. So you're sitting there, and I don't know, maybe you're making eyes with an attractive woman, and she comes over, and you say, hi, I'm Ray, and she goes, oh, I'm Dr. Monica.
Free drinks for her the rest of the day.
Actually, no.
I
shouldn't have gone to girl.
Are you kidding me?
I shouldn't have gone to girl.
Attractive woman and a doctor.
Yeah. He's now more in.
I would like to hear everything about her. I would like to know her entire life story.
Let's go back to the other story about a social setting. I'm just saying, I would kind of, if I could raise one eyebrow when like Amy just did, if somebody introduces himself as Dr. Ricky as he walks by in his scrubs, I don't know, an eyebrow goes up.
Yeah. I get it.
I'm just teasing you, Ricky.
I feel you. I feel you on that. I feel like, all right, it might, but I would ask what kind of doctor. And if they said they're a brain surgeon, I will call that, yes, doctor, whatever your name is. Go for it.
All right.
You're a brain surgeon. You earned it. But if you want to be called that, that's what you do. You can judge.
Amy was the one that said you had on scrubs, Rick. It wasn't me. So Ricky's mad that I said he was walking around with scrubs when he's just got.
No, you said, are they scrubs? And I said, I think it's just a matching top and bottom with sweatpants.
Actually, you're the one that said, is Ricky wearing scrubs? And then you answered your own question.
Oh, I did.
Yes.
That sounds right. That does sound right.
See? The amount that I get picked on in this seat, it's unbelievable, Ricky.
Is Ricky wearing scrubs?
I'm like the relief pitcher that gives up runs all the time, and these two are picking on me for it. They don't know that I have a bad shoulder.
I'm sorry.
Like, sometimes it just hurts. But
I can't wait to get my doctorate and make you call me Dr. Amy.
I don't think that would happen.
No, it wouldn't.
You wouldn't introduce yourself
as
Dr. Amy.
I also would not be getting my doctorate.
No. I might have to get future Dr. Roccabaldo Andrea to call in and say, like, do you sign a piece of paper to say, like, I'm going to introduce myself?
Prescription she does.
Way off track. Paul George signed with the Sixers last night. Early this morning, actually. We have a lot of reaction to it. We'll get to some more text messages that don't concern doctors about what more you want. Also, those on the line, please hold on. I'll get to you as soon as we get back. This is Middays. Bob Cooney, 97.5 The Fanatic. Welcome back. Middays 1:30, taking you up to the best show ever. Tyrone, Ricky, and Silvana, our friend. So we go to break.
Yes.
We hear like little kids.
Oh, yeah.
Boom, 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 boom,
Running.
boom. Like, what the hell's going on? We look out, and there is Ray. I think he had something in his hand. I'm not sure because he whizzed by so quickly. With
Very
a
fast.
red face and using all the skills he learned in cross country in high school, running from, it appeared to be, Tyrone. And I mean, I'm not talking like a little jog. It was full
It was a sprint.
What the hell was going on?
You'll find out soon enough.
Oh, goodness.
You're still out of breath.
We do everything for the content around here.
Oh, it's on the Instagram? Will it be on
will
the
be
gram?
at some point.
It'll be on the IG.
Yeah, don't you
Okay.
worry. It'll
I have
all make
Instagram.
sense very soon. Well, actually, it would never make sense to you since you don't have Instagram. But it'll make sense to you, Amy, very soon.
Amy will tell
I'll
me
show you
because
that.
Amy's nice to me.
Yes, I will. I'll show it.
Yeah. I'm seeing on here, Cooney said Kyle Lowry. How delusional. What did I say about Kyle Lowry?
That you might start.
No, it was a question. I said, could Kyle Lowry be
that's
a
my
starter
guess.
here?
I don't
think
know.
I was.
I don't know. Are you
Yeah,
talking
I
about the
wasn't.
YouTube?
No, I don't know. I was just looking to see what everybody's saying here. Dr. and Mrs. Cooney. Yeah, that's me. That's me, the good doc. But I am going to put a call in to someone to find out if they do tell you maybe when you're going through schooling to get your doctor to become a doctor.
Don't make a call
I'm
about
just
that.
wondering. I am. Because Amy, it's all about learning here. And I just want to learn if I'm wrong in my thoughts. And
I think it's
we'll see.
however the person would like to be introduced and called. That's what they do.
For now on, I'm great, Bob. Mitch, East Windsor, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic. What's up, Mitch?
How you doing, guys? I could play a doctor if you want me to.
Yeah, Dr. Mitch.
Dr. Mitch. Okay, everybody's a doctor. You're a doctor, and you're a doctor.
I wish. Hey, but once you become a doctor, hopefully you want to work for yourself and not work for Penn Med or Capital something. It's sad. Well, you got to call the person a doctor. It's like the maestro from the Seinfeld episode. Once you're a doctor, you've earned that right to be called doctor.
Okay.
All right.
I was perhaps I have to reassess. What do you got on the Sixers, Mitch?
I'd be calling your niece alive if I was you. Loved it. I hope Jared McCann can win this point guard. You don't have to play point guard, I think. I think he'd be pretty good. He was a good player. One and done in high school, too. And I think you need a backup guy. I'm thinking Jordan Clarkson. And even a power forward, somewhat decent, to help along. What do you think? And thanks for taking my call.
Yeah, thanks, Mitch. Yeah, that's what we're looking for. We're looking for some power forwards. We're looking for some point guards.
Literally a 1 and a 4.
Yeah, I mean, there's just...
I'll take 1 or a 4, but I would prefer both.
I'll tell you, I do. I get... Look, the big name was dropped, and it was Paul George, and it was 4:30 this morning or whenever, 3:30 this morning, when it all played out, and that's the big one, and that's the one that gets the reaction. Okay, we're there, and we're having the reaction, and we like it. But I love that there's something else. Like, this isn't complete at all. So we can talk about closing gaps, and I asked Keith, is the gap closing? But this isn't, like, this puzzle is not solved by any means. You have the border, and you have a lot of the pieces filled in, but you still have a lot to go.
Yeah.
And we're just not going to know until Daryl Morey is done doing what he's going to do. Jake in Ocean City has an idea. Jake, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Hey, Bob. Just want to say I'm a huge fan. I've been listening to you since the morning show. Just a big fan.
Oh, thank you, buddy. Listen, let me ask
everything you guys do.
Appreciate it. That's very nice. How are things down there? Because I saw a lot of pictures from Ocean City.
Flooding.
Some flooding. Are you
it's
okay?
Not the water. Yeah, we're fine. I'm on the beach right now. I know it flooded. I got down here yesterday. I know it flooded pretty good. It was still a little wet, but the water's freezing. But my kids don't care. They're kids. They're crazy.
Right?
Kids are kids.
Yeah, but I just wanted to see hear your thoughts about Sadiq Bey. I know he got cut from Atlanta. I know he's coming off a ACL, but I think you could get him for a mid-level exception, right?
It's an interesting name. And listen, Jake, have a great time down the shore. Appreciate the phone call. It's an interesting name. Now, Sadiq Bey came into the NBA and kind of changed himself, got in better shape, got himself going, and had like a few good months where you're like, wow.
Right.
I did not see that coming out of Sadiq Bey. Yeah, suffered the ACL last year, I believe it was. A Villanova guy, like, have you learned your lesson? Yeah, I mean, if it works out, why not take a look? I'm not saying definitely, sign the guy and plug and play. See where he is with the injury.
Yeah, 6'7". I think a decent scorer. You mentioned that I think he does kind of bring a little bit more physicality than he did at Villanova. I think he learned that the NBA is a different game, and I think he recognized that. I think he is a good scorer, too. He's young, 25 years of age. As they mentioned, here's a guy that you could probably get on the cheap given his injury history recently, though he doesn't have an injury history beyond that. He usually has a history of playing a lot of games. It was a season, I think it was 2 seasons ago, he and Mikal Bridges were 2 of the 3 guys that played every single game in the NBA. That's an interesting, because you could get guys on the cheap. You have to try to find, that's when we're talking about the Celtics, you have to try to find those kind of gems out there, those diamonds that are a little bit maybe undiscovered in the way that you're going to use them, and then they turn into somebody that's a real good role player for you. And Saddiq Bey is absolutely an option that I think the Sixers could explore. I think a lot of people are probably going to explore a guy like that because you've seen flashes. I don't think he's got. It's tough to look at his numbers and see him because he was with the Pistons and with the Hawks, and it's like, all right, gross, like yikes. But a guy like Kelly Oubre played for the Hornets, comes here and turns out he can be a winning player on a winning team.
Yeah, good numbers on a bad team sometimes can turn into good numbers on a good team. So, Ray, we asked earlier about what more do you want. It's kind of been the topic of the show after the Paul George thing, and everybody's chimed in on that. But we have some text messages about what more people may want.
Yes, Jeff checking in saying to make him happy, take Campaign, maybe Lowry and a vet minimum, and wants to give Buddy another chance.
You know what? When it was announced yesterday that they got Eric Gordon, a lot of the comeback was, there goes Buddy Hield. If salary is the main key, that's understandable.
Right.
I think it does mean there goes Buddy Hield. Buddy Hield is going to cost some money that the Sixers, quite frankly, do not have anymore. So, I don't think that's
he'll
possible.
get a contract out there. I don't know that the money will match up. You look at a guy like Kelly Oubre and how he took what the Sixers offered and maybe worked with them in order to come back here. Would Buddy Hield do that? Is it meaningful enough for Buddy Hield to come here after he got here, arrived after the trade deadline, kind of burst onto the scene, did really well. The guy was taking 4 or 5 threes, or making 4 or 5 threes a game. You thought this is exactly, and then that fell off even before Embiid came back. And then Embiid came back, and he really got lost in the shuffle. Certainly once Kyle Lowry arrived on the scene, it was like, that's your role here is, we don't really know what your role is.
Right.
And so I don't know that marriage would happen again.
Yeah.
Given how it ended and what he might be. I mean, he might, just keep in mind what people are getting offered right now. These contracts are crazy right now. Someone could offer him $10 or $11 million. Sixers can't give him $10 or $11 million.
No, and that's the hindrance that could be what they're up against right now. What else we got, Ray?
All right, Joe from Berlin saying Tyus Jones.
Yeah, that was when you go down the free agency tracker. That's one of the ones because he's a point guard.
Traditional point guard, more so than a lot.
And I'm good with that. Like one of the things you asked me, what is the one thing that I wanted more of, and a more traditional point guard. I don't know if I need a straight up traditional point guard, but a playmaking point guard, a guy that to get the ball where it needs to go, I think is a real viable.
Yeah,
Tyus
Jones.
Jones.
He's little.
He is. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, good guy. Very good guy. I remember I interviewed him up in Minnesota one time when he was there, and I was doing I think I was doing a magazine story on Jalil Okafor. So I talked I talked to him an awful lot. Very, very good guy, impressive and his mannerisms, all of that. And a very heady point guard. So making the right plays is something that
I don't know.
Yeah. But smaller,
to me, I would look at him as a backup. Like I would look at Tyus Jones as a guy to come in here. You already have an established point guard, and he's a really good backup. But you need an actual one.
I'm as fascinated as to what Daryl Morey's going to do moving forward as I was over this weekend. What else we got, Ray?
Terrence in Jersey wants a reunion. And a reunion with one, Markelle Fultz.
I knew it was going to be Markelle Fultz.
That didn't even pop into my head after you said reunion.
Just because I've been on that, I was on that list a lot yesterday with just looking at the actual free agents that were people just unrestricted free agent, just a free for all. and Markelle Fultz's name was on my free agent list, and I just kept scrolling. I scrolled past it, and I stopped. I'm like, huh, and then I just kept scrolling, and then I saw Tyus Jones because it's done by money.
Right,
the list I was looking at, so I just scrolled down a bit.
I get it.
No.
Well, it's funny.
He did like it here, and he talks about it still very in a positive way.
Let's take here away, okay? I know we can't, but if we were just looking at an NBA player with the skills that he has now, Markelle Fultz has now, and I assume some people you've seen him play with Orlando, you can look up his numbers. It's not out of the question. Like, he's a creator. We've seen him. He can, dribble, drive, penetrate.
Yeah.
The shot is always going to be concerning because
terrible.
It's one of the things of all the sports that we've covered in our lives, Amy, that I can close my eyes and remember watching him shoot,
the hitch,
walking right next to Brett Brown and saying, "Oh my God, what happened to him?" I swear to God.
That summer he stopped learning how to shoot.
And this was the first day of training camp, and I was like,
I remember we saw some of the
God.
stuff in Summer League, and I was like, what is that hitch? It was like watching when Charles Barkley was working out his golf swing.
It's exactly what it
He
was
had a
like.
hitch in it. He had a hitch in his shot.
Yeah.
There was a hesitation, and everybody that watched it thought, what is happening?
Yeah, he had the yips. I mean, they went to that shoulder thing or whatever,
thoracic outlet syndrome.
Very good. I don't know. I only wrote it 1,000 times, but I never remembered what it was because in my head, I'm like, I'm writing this, but he has the yips. Something is wrong with him. Somebody tried to change something in him, and he has lost it. But that's an interesting name. If you can get rid of the Philly stuff and look at him as the player he is now, I don't know. There's a bigger guard. Remember, like a good-sized guard. Maybe. And let's not forget, playing with guys like Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid, Paul George, it's going to make you even better. Like, it can't not make you better. All right, one more, Ray.
Yeah, we got Uncle Lowell checking in.
Hey, what do you say, Unc?
Melton to a cheap prove-it contract. Find a 4 who can make corner threes, rebounds, and plays D. Taller than 6'4", and most importantly, not named P.J. Tucker.
Oh, well, yeah. That the wheels of that's not it. There's no tread left on the PJ Tucker wheels.
Oh God, no.
He opted in, right? He opted in with the Clippers.
I think he did.
Yeah.
I think I did.
Wouldn't you?
Yes.
Yeah, well, that's exactly it. That was $11 million that it was not going to be on the table elsewhere. So I would have opted in.
Yeah, Uncle, the Unc giving us exactly what we know that they need.
Yeah. Yeah. Just go pluck one
Nico
of those
Batum.
off the tree.
He described Nico Batum.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Who can? Did you say you're going to make the call, Ray? Are you calling Nico?
No. Paul George has to make the call.
Well then you call after Paul calls, and
I'll call right now if you want. I'll call him. I'll try and get him on the phone. Hey man,
he only speaks French in the off season though. Can you handle that?
Thanks to working with Amy.
Yes.
There it is. Between the two of you, I think we can get it done.
Yes.
S'il vous plaît.
Absolutely. Bonjour.
Bonjour. S'il vous plaît, basketball.
Oh, man. All right, when we get
Bonjour.
back, we're going to close this thing out before we take you to the best show ever as Tyrone, Ricky, and Silvana will be with you from 2 to 6 today. We're so glad that you joined us. We will be back. Midday show, Bob Cooney, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now is the
Welcome back. 1 o'clock hour brought to you by Ferguson HVAC Lyon Conklin. Attention HVAC contractors for equipment, parts, and supplies for every heating and cooling job. Visit one of Ferguson's counter locations in Bensalem, King of Prussia, Pennsauken, or Westchester. So we're talking a lot today about what the Sixers had to do. We haven't talked any Phillies really because this has been the main topic. But Aim, this weekend I hit it on the front page at the very beginning of the show. Thursday, you have a game against Miami. You blow it in the last 3 innings. You lose 2 of your best players to injury. I deemed it on Friday morning the worst loss of the year.
Just because of all the injuries and the
everything.
The game.
Yeah, bad loss. Your bullpen came down there.
Loss.
Right. Then you go to yesterday, and you have a mishmash of a lineup because of all the injuries. Ranger Suarez gets beat up pretty good, doesn't look himself, and you come back and win 7-6.
Biggest comeback.
Yeah, where Castellanos gets you a big hit, where Trey Turner gets you a big hit. Everybody's contributing. I call that maybe the best win of the year. Where do you look at these Phillies? And it looks like it's, from what Rob Thompson said on Friday, 10 days to 2 weeks for these guys.
Like an All-Star break. After the All-Star break, it's going to be like game on.
Right. So you have Chicago and Atlanta coming up.
Tough.
Both, like, what do you expect? 6 games, do they get a little bit of, if they go 2-4, I understand because of, or is,
3-3.
I don't know. Do you look at it differently?
I look at it a little bit differently, but every time it's when Castellanos had that hit yesterday that made it 6-5.
6-5, right.
And I thought, you can never count this team out. Like, I don't care what this lineup looks like. I don't care. I think that we're going to be pleasantly surprised. I think there's some good things that are going to come out of this, i.e. Brandon Marsh playing every day. I think that's something that's positive to come out. I want to have him play much more regularly. I think there's some positives you could learn from them during this next 2 weeks.
I agree with you.
So, I think if they go 3-3 on this trip, I think you'll look at it and be like, is it disappointing? Sure, because you're a team that you expect to win every game.
Right.
But, it's Chicago's a tough place to play. I know the Cubs aren't as good as they've been, but, it's always a tough place to play, and then the Braves are the Braves. So, I think, win one of the series.
We do it every Monday, and it's a keep up with the standings type of thing. Well, the Phillies did not lose a single half game to the Braves this past week. They were 8 up last week. They are 8 up still this week. With the win yesterday, the Phillies upped it to 8 because those Braves lost once again. All right, Michael in New York wants to talk about the, no, never mind. My fault. You know what I do want to tell you, though? FanFest 24, Aim. Can't wait. Ray was talking about he was trying to pick out an outfit the other day
to wear at
FanFest. Well, for all of us, yes, that's what I was saying. An outfit that we would all wear.
That sounds a lot like me, Bob. Yeah.
Yeah, an outfit. A nice top.
An outfit.
And maybe some slacks.
Like a going out top, maybe even.
Yeah, he knows it's a backhanded thing. Whatever.
No, anyway, it's fine. I want you to promote FanFest.
FanFest 2024 with FanDuel. It's awesome. Saturday, September 28th. At Xfinity Live. We're all going to be there. There's going to be celebrity guests, Philly sports legends like Amy, activities, games, prizes, so much more. It's the biggest party of the year for Philadelphia sports fans. Listen all week and this weekend to win tickets. I'm going to give away some tickets tomorrow. Go to 975thefanatic.com for all the details, including info for our online ticket raids, which will be starting up soon. It popped into my head during this show today. I already have a little game for us to play tomorrow, and the best answer is going to win a pair of FanFest tickets. And then I'm going to give another pair away, maybe willy-nilly. We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Just a Tuesday.
Ray's giving me the dead eye, so I might be doing something
Tuesday's a better
wrong.
day because of the way that the week is structured this week. Is it not? It usually is a terrible day, but tomorrow is a great day.
Tomorrow's hump day for a lot of people.
Because you're only working 3 days this week.
Today's hump day for Ray.
Today's his Friday.
Oh, I'm here tomorrow.
He's here tomorrow.
Oh, that's right. Sorry, it's your Thursday. Best day of the week.
Look at you just dismissing Ray.
Jeez.
Sorry.
Wow.
Once I lose Amy, I feel like I've done
then
something
you're really
wrong
on an
here.
island.
I make you this promise. You will never lose me. Never. I always got your back.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's very nice of you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wasn't giving you the dead eye, by the way.
I was just
looking down at my computer.
I don't know you weren't either.
I was.
I really did. I missed you last week. Like, I was sitting at home at night like, man, I wonder what Ray's doing now. And, the fact you don't – because I love finding out what he does like the next – because he's got a good life. He's 24 years old. And he's,
so I always post the selfies on Instagram and on Twitter. And I did have – as soon as I posted the one on Wednesday, I think it was, or Tuesday or Wednesday, someone asked, where is Ray?
Yeah. You were sorely missed.
That's very nice of everyone.
Tom Alvord, great job while you were away. But I missed you. I'll honestly say it.
That's very nice of you. I missed you guys too.
Yeah, so
I told you I popped onto the YouTube stream at one point.
For how long, Ray?
It was about it would have been maybe enough to count if I had a meter.
Oh no!
But it wasn't too long. Listen,
where were you exactly when you got onto the YouTube page?
I was by the pool. I might have had a Carnival Colada or a few, and it's like, you know what? I wonder what they're doing back in Philly.
Yeah.
That was nice. It was good to see you guys. You guys were having a good conversation, talking about the Sixers offseason. Hey.
Yeah, it's usually how we roll.
Dropped a little high in the YouTube chat. I think one or two people noticed, and then I was like, all right.
I'm out. Yep, I'm bouncing.
Listen, the Wi-Fi connection down there is not good. Down by the pool was not good.
Oh, yeah. You had to clarify. By the pool, it wasn't good. Not just Aruba.
Was it better on the beach?
No, not just Aruba. No, the beach, there was none. No? I would go on these wonderful walks, man, and there was just no connection.
Nothing, huh?
Nothing. No connection for me.
No connection.
Who's upset with me out there?
I don't know what the hell's going on, but everybody's gathering outside of the studio.
I swear, they're doing this bird thing again.
No, I'm thinking I got let go, and everybody's saying goodbye.
I think they're just standing here to get ready to kick us out. We have another minute.
Yeah,
okay,
we got plenty of time
we
here.
got plenty of time
60 seconds.
We got time enough to get our doctorate and be called doctors if we so choose. So, Aim, do you think something gets done? I don't know. Are you and I talking about something more done tomorrow with the Sixers? Do you really?
Do. I think there's I think they'll make another move by this time. Give me until 1:00 tomorrow. But yes, I do think so. I feel like things are once you start seeing all these contracts start going, and you're seeing all the players that are not signed, that are truly unrestricted free agents that have been either jettisoned or not picked up, then you have I think this last 24 hours and the next 24 hours are real good as far as we're at the buffet line. Everything's open. Everything's out there. You know what's available, and now's your time to pick and choose what you're going to put on your plate.
Well, I hope so, because we do not have any Phillies baseball tonight, and that sucks in the summer when the Phillies are off and you don't have a game at night to watch. So you're going to have to find something else. Maybe, just maybe, there will be more news coming out from Daryl Morey, from the 76ers, about filling out this roster. I want to thank you for joining us today. We'll all be back tomorrow, even Ray. Same bat time, same bat channel. Stay tuned now for the best show ever, because they are coming up next. Thanks, everybody.